2009, none of that happened. This year, much different focus. All through 17 days of 3-a-day grueling practices, the coach said one thing and one thing only: let's look to today, August 30th, to take on
at San Jose State, and Frank Beamer coming off back-to-back Big East titles. Now in his 11th year and getting close to the all-time record for wins with the Hokies, chasing Bill Dooley. 4 straight bowl appearances. The Sugar, where he beat Texas 2 years ago and a loss to Nebraska in the Orange last year. But they have put together back-to-back 10 victory seasons. Virginia Tech has won the toss. They defer. Jimmy Kibble is ready to send it deep to either Steve Harper or Reggie Stevens, who has also dropped back deep for the Knights, and we're underway. And a good deep effort by Kibble. Stevens 3 yards deep, settling for the touchback, and the Rutgers offense debuting redshirt freshman quarterback Mike Jones. He is a redshirt freshman athletically, a sophomore academically, and like all their other quarterbacks, has not taken a Division I snap until today. Crooks and Fauntleroy in his backfield. Funderburk returns after missing all of last year, rehabbing after knee injury, and they expect a big final season from him. The rock of their line, Jack McKiernan, senior center out of Old Bridge, New Jersey, a 4th-year starter, including one at left tackle. He played just about everywhere on that front wall for the Scarlet Knights. And they open in the eye from the 20. Play action, and Jones, with his first delivery of the day, has Andy Holland, who stretches to the 36 before he's hit by Anthony Midget. 17 yards on the connection to Holland. The Virginia Tech defense the last few years, one of the best in the country. John Engelberger, though, replacing 2-time All-America Cornell Brown at defensive end. Steve Tate, a former walk-on, now a senior starter in the middle at backer out of North Canton, Ohio. Pearson Prelo, their leading returning tackler, junior from Alvin, South Carolina, can jump out of the building. 44-inch vertical leap. Jackie Crooks with the first carry and maybe a yard before he's piled up. The first contact came from the free safety, Keon Carpenter. Jackie Crooks is one of 14 Scarlet Knights who either played their high school or junior college ball in California. His numbers from a year ago out of Union City, California. And give him no gain. 2nd down and 10. See a lot of looks, of course, from Rutgers with the West Coast diversity. Jones expected the pressure to come, got it off. Crooks with some room, drops it as he's hit from behind, and it's loose and recovered by the Hokies, Steve Tate. At the 47, John Engelberger coming from behind to cause the fumble, and Steve Tate was there to hop on it.
This is a beautifully executed screen. The Virginia Tech coaches have told us all along about John Engelberger. If you'll see 96 here in hot pursuit, and most fumbles are caused from the rear. He knocks the ball out. Virginia Tech comes up with it.
And they take over in great shape at the Knight 47-yard line. First pass, Clark. Michael Stewie will take it near the first down marker at the 38-yard line, where he's hit by Charles Woolridge. As we check the Virginia Tech offense, second best in the Big East a year ago, about 417 yards per game. Ken Oxendine was the best in the Big East. He led that conference in scoring, nearly 9 points per game from the now senior out of Chester, Virginia. They feel they might have not only the best running back tandem in the Big East, maybe in the country, with Oxendine and Parker. And stacked up for no gain. Oxendine hit by Brady and Wingate. Now the receiving crew for Clark, you've already seen Michael Stewie, former walk-on, at one point wanted to play here at Rutgers. They turned him down, didn't have anything there for him. The last chance he got to sign, Virginia Tech finally took him in. Gennaro DiNapoli, they feel may have pro potential at center. He is an all Big East right guard, making his 21st straight start today. Third down, Clark bounces off one hit, continues on for not much. First hit, Aaron Brady, finishing him off, Thomas Kelly.
This is excellent coverage by the Rutgers secondary. Clark does not have an open receiver. One of the things he does best is to pull the ball down and run. He's not very good with his ball security here. And thanks to excellent effort and swarming to the ball, Rutgers keeps Virginia Tech from making the first down. And Frank Beamer wisely punts the ball here against a very spirited Rutgers team and crowd.
Boy, and where they turned that over, how big a contribution by the defense to stop them on a 3 and out. Jimmy Kibble is out to aim for the coffin corner.
Well, it's almost incalculable, Dave. That's such a big turn for the emotion.
Delay of game, kicking team, 5 yards, still 4th down.
John Smith, the referee, and a little more room for Kibble as they back up.
When the defense goes on the field after a turnover and stops the other team's offense, that's a tremendous emotional lift for everybody in a red shirt.
Kibble, a very strong leg, sophomore out of Manassas, Virginia. And this will come down around the 10. Take a nice Virginia Tech hop, and Kibble does his job down at the 7. A 36-yarder. And Rutgers takes over deep in their own end when we come back to Piscataway. The passion puddle and the myth surrounding it. If you walk around 3 times with your sweetheart, you will be married within 1 year. So you get fair warning. Rutgers starting from their 7 after a pretty terrific kick that Kibble killed inside the 10. Crooks trying to get the corner turn. A very speedy Virginia Tech defense with Engelberger joined by Keon Carpenter. Now, Bill, back to the delay penalty as you look at Crooks trying to come around the left side and real closing speed evident here by Carpenter.
Carpenter blocked 3 kicks last year, which indicates that he has enormous speed. And you'll see Engelberger. Engelberger came from the other side of the field. He is all over the place.
Big 100-yard interception return to clinch the Miami win at the Orange Bowl when the Hurricanes were driving toward what would have been tying touchdown. The Hokies took one of the biggest wins in their history. This one is overthrown, intended for Reggie Funderburg as we check in the studio with Carl Ravitch.
Hi, Dave. Thanks very much. Marshall, West Virginia, and West Virginia playing tough defense and getting some points on offense. Amos Saraway takes it in, 10 yards, made it 14-zip. Since then, Marshall's out of the field goal, but on 1st and goal, they failed 3 times to punch it in, Dave.
And we'll see the Mountaineers next week. Taking on East Carolina. 3rd and 11 for Rutgers. With 3 wideouts and a motion man, Steve Harper. Give it on a trip up the middle by Crooks, who drags Hokies to the 15-yard line. Pearson Prelo finally wrestling him down at that point.
Excellent call by Terry Shea and his staff to run the draw coming out of there. Now they don't have to punt the ball from their 6-yard line.
Virginia Tech on that punt, though, took the delay penalty. Kibble a little bit late getting on the field. Rutgers could have turned that penalty down. Why do you think they didn't? Well,
I think they probably should have. I think Kibble forgot to go on the field, probably assuming that his team would go for it. Here's a very unusual punt formation used by Rutgers. We'll discuss it when we get a chance. We're getting ready to play here.
Jared Slovan, senior out of Tucson, Arizona. Angelo Harrison will watch this one roll and take a good Rutgers roll down at the 40. 45-yarder by Slovan. Rutgers defensively next to last year in the Big East. They gave up 450 total yards per game. They feel they're much improved, much stronger, more powerful this year. Charles Woolridge is a senior out of Riverdale, Maryland, a former tight end, one of 4 DeMatha High School products on the Scarlet Knights roster. Ryan Sheridan returns, missed all of last year, had shoulder surgery. It didn't take, had the same operation again. He was the leading tackler, though, 2 years ago. And Reggie Stevens with light feet, according to Shea. Very, very quick, recruited by the entire Pac-10, but he's here in Piscataway. And Oxendine is down after a pickup of 2. Sheridan made the hit.
The reason that he was clean there is because of the stunt up front. The defensive tackle cleared the blockers off so that Brian could get to the B gap, or the hole through which the play was supposed to develop, and met the back head up.
How discouraging could that be? You have shoulder surgery and you find out you have to have the whole thing all over again and rehab from that point on.
Well, for normal mortals, that's very discouraging. But for Brian, who is a linebacker with great linebacker mentality, it didn't bother Brian much at all.
The delay because Derek Smith, the left tackle for Virginia Tech, has limped off and been replaced by Josh Redding, the redshirt freshman. Oxendine has had very little room so far. Spins to the 45, and that's it. It'll be 3rd and 5.
Coach Rod Sharpless, the defensive coordinator for Rutgers, his objective is to get these backs running sideways. That's precisely what happened. Oxendine had to break it out because there was nothing at the point of attack, and the swarming red shirts tracked him down.
Rod Sharpless, now the Rutgers defensive coordinator, but 93 through 95, he was on the Hokies staff. Clark from the shotgun with time and delivers complete to Harrison, who'll have the first down at the Rutgers 48-yard line. Reggie Stevens driving him out of bounds. Let's check in on the sideline with Dave Ryan. Righto?
Okay, Dave, thanks very much. We talked about that new tradition head coach Terry Shea trying to establish here at Rutgers. Also has new helmets this year. Used to have a Knights picture on it. Now it's got Rutgers with a sword on the side, new Big East logo, new numbers, and a brand new stripe as well. In fact, Dave, on the back of the jersey, you can see these Rutgers players have the 49ers style. Let's go back to you.
Marcus Parker loose, one man with an angle, and they will mark Parker out at about the 1 foot line thanks to the close by Norris Crawford. 48 yards, almost 6 for Marcus Parker, a former tailback. He looks like he's still got the tailback speed.
He has the tailback speed, and you'll see superb blocking here at the point of attack with the lead block coming from the tailback. Oxendine, boom, right here. And we're off to the races. The free safety should have been able to get to the ball carrier and at least keep him from getting into the end zone, but apparently he was screened off.
So 1st and goal from the foot, and they'll let Oxendine leap over for the touchdown.
Now, this is precisely what the Rutgers coaches hoped would not happen. They hoped that the defense could keep them in the game, that they could come out smoking, but they turned the ball over. Now they allow the long run. And it makes things more difficult for Rutgers in the underdog role here.
Boy, teams are going to have a very difficult time dealing with first Oxendine, who will have the lion's share of the carries, but as Parker showed, with a whole lot less to work with, he can do at least as much damage. Shane Graham to add the extra point. Perfect last year on all 39, and he's perfect so far this year, and it is 7-0 for the Hokies, thanks to Oxendine in his lead. Marcus Parker, 48-yarder to set up the touchdown dive by his running back mate, Ken Oxendine. 7-0 Virginia Tech, a 5-play drive covering 60 yards to get the Hokies the early lead. Somewhere around a 3-touchdown favorite today. Rutgers, though, very confident yesterday. They could break a few big plays, make it closer than expected. Reggie Stevens on the return to the 23. Your college football weekend continues tonight here on ESPN at 7:30. Zebby Lethbridge and the Red Raiders at Texas Tech with another tough road game, this time taking on Heisman candidate Peyton Manning and the Tennessee Volunteers. All the action brought to you by ESPN, your home for college football. Spike Dykes never shies away from the tough road games. They go to Penn State, Nebraska, Georgia last year.
Spike doesn't shy away from anything.
High for Jones and the Knights. Funderburg to the right, Powell to the left, and a little bit jumbled in that backfield. Still managed to perhaps gouge out a 2-yard gain.
Here's Rod Sharpless, defensive coordinator, with people on the sidelines that need to listen to their coach right now. Keep their poise. They've only allowed one big play. Otherwise, they've played extremely well on defense.
Rod Sharpless carrying some of the same principles to Rutgers that he had at Virginia Tech, but he really downplayed the fact that, yeah, he knows what Virginia Tech's about. He says, but they know what I'm
he
about.
said they know more about me than I do them.
Coming around on the reverse is Harper, and the Hokies, to say the least, were not fooled. Jamel Smith, inside backer, joined again by Carpenter.
One of the toughest things that can happen to a reverse is a blitz. Smith was there so fast I thought he had blitzed, but he did not. He simply held his ground, and he's so fast that he was through there as if he were a blitzer. Number 46, Jamel Smith. He's another guy that Coach Beamer is extremely high on, and you saw why as he ran that reverse down from behind.
So another 3rd and long for the Knights. Last year converted just 28% on 3rd. And markers are down with the play clock down.
Dead ball. Delay of game.
And a little feedback up. So what will now be a 3rd and 18 for Terry Shea.
What happens in instances like this is things begin to go bad. You get a little rattle. You're a brand new quarterback. You take too long in the huddle. Now we get a delay penalty. That's what happens in these circumstances.
Let's go to 3 wide. Short drop and over the middle. Almost twice. An amazing catch made by Andy Holland. Big contact, and he still stayed after it. Almost brought it in. The contact came from Prelo.
Now Andy's going to find Mike Jones over on this. He's going to say, now Mike, when I go across the middle like that, I really appreciate it if you throw those balls just a little lower. Look here at the rib cage. Boom. It's part of football, but you prefer that thing to be a little lower. Here's the Rutgers punt formation again.
This time Sloven right on the goal line. Handles the snap. And not a bad effort at all. Angelo Harrison. Well bottled up. But again, Virginia Tech starts in great shape after a 43-yard Jared Sloven punt.
Rutgers uses the most unusual punt formation. Terry Shea learned it at Utah State. Low snap there. But you'll see there are 3 protectors. It obviously emphasizes protection.
That's a guy that they will keep a wary eye on. Virginia Tech probably as successful as anybody over the last several years in college football at blocking kicks.
54 blocks in the last 110 years.
That's amazing. They really emphasize that in their special teams. Oxendine, and he coughs it up. Recovered, though, by Virginia Tech back at the 32. Aaron Brady with a big hit on Oxendine, and his buddy Parker was there to bail him out. Again, let's check in with Carl Ravitch.
Hi, Dave. First off, Legion Field, Houston and Alabama, the first-year coach for the first. How about famous Amos Zeroway? Last year as a freshman, over 1,000 yards, bottled up by his own man, and then he breaks loose. Zeroway in West Virginia pounding Marshall 21-3. Zeroway zeroing in on 100 yards, Dave.
Another fumble recovered by Parker, who salvages a bit of a return to the 15, but back-to-back near disasters by Tech.
These are the kinds of things that you pray will never happen. Right now, the signal is called. The center makes the error, thinking that the snap count has been called. The ball goes big past the quarterback, and another incredible break for Virginia Tech. They end up with the football, 3rd in a lifetime.
Todd Washington, who has moved from guard. He follows a couple of All-America centers, Jim Pine, Billy Conity. And Clark shows what Beamer feels is a Donovan McNabb-like ability to run the ball. Compare him to the best at that maybe in college football, and they think he has that kind of potential. But he and Washington have some things to go over.
Yes, the offensive line coach will meet young Todd at the sideline, or young Al, because one of the two caused that blunder, and that is a major, major blunder.
Tibble has it blocked. the Knights have it at the 28.
The mechanics were good here. The snap was fine from Coach Beamer's son, Shea, but the protection was not. The problem came right up the middle. What that means is the guards and the up back failed to do their job. It's almost impossible to block a kick with a perfect snap unless someone absolutely whiffs, and that's what happened. You see him right up the pipe here. Excellent block, and Rutgers is in business at the 27.
Dax Strollmeyer right up the middle for the block. Now Jones in some trouble and needs to get rid of it. And just does manage to with John Engelberger hanging all over him.
John Engelberger is a flat-out warrior. He whips his man, flies to the football every single play. Showed up as a walk-on and has actually developed himself into a potential NFL player, according to Coach Beamer.
He is in that Cornell Brown slot, but not without starting experience. At the other end last year, he had 6 sacks. Second down carry by Cooks. Manages maybe the 24, and again, Engelberger, they're waiting for him. So with this terrific opportunity, Terry Shea with a 3rd down and 6, hoping not to have to settle for what would be a fairly lengthy field goal if they can't move it further.
Ben French, the left guard, was simply manhandled on that draw. That's the reason there was nothing there at the point of attack.
So far, the same problems as last year, converting 3rd downs. This one is batted down the instant it leaves Jones' hand. Steve Tate reaching up for the deflection.
One of the things that you hope your offensive line will be able to do is to create a nice pocket. We hear that phrase a lot, but the pocket literally means that there's no one in the quarterback's face. In this case, that did not occur, and hence the batted ball. Rutgers needs to get points on the board. That sounds like an obvious statement, but for the morale of this team and this program right now, they need to capitalize on this turnover.
And this is another spot without a whole lot of experience. Lee McDonald made only 1 kick last year, the only one he tried, and this one is going to be wide right. So the Hokies do not pay from their series of mishaps and miscues and still lead by 7. Bill, I know there is nothing more personally painful to you as a former center than to see one of your brethren struggling down there. What do you think they tried to discuss to fix that communication problem?
Well, either Al Clark, the quarterback, called a signal that Todd Washington thought was the snap count, or Todd has the freedom to snap when he wants to, and Al wasn't ready.
John Scales checked in to go in motion. Oxendine, a little room, and a nice burst, 6 or 7. Thomas Kelly, the free safety, their second leading tackler a year ago and 7th best in tackles in the entire Big East, where Oxendine was 3rd best with 914 yards.
Ken Oxendine is a great player, but he is a little careless with the ball, as we mentioned with Al Clark when he scrambled a while ago, and that can cost them the football, and that's something that they can't afford to do even with their powerful football team.
And those two, Oxendine and Parker, will be bigger than most of the guys trying to tackle him today. They average about 225 between them. Parker a little bit short. It'll be 3rd and a foot as we again hear from Carl.
Hi, Dave. Alabama scored in their first possession via the ground.
Al Clark got under the guard the last time. If you could find that for me, that would be humorous.
Virginia Tech with maybe a foot needed. Oxendine gets the call and gets the first. To the 36, hit there by Brian Sheridan.
Touchdown by Brian Sheridan and Thomas Kelly.
All right, here we have a short yardage situation from the power eye. There's penetration, which there should not be. Oxendine makes this strictly on his own with power.
And DiNapoli, along with Washington, real anchors on that offensive front for Virginia Tech. Oxendine, he'll lose back to the 31. On the quick reacting Chris Cebula's stop. He had 6 sacks last year to lead the Scarlet Knight defense, and shows how you utilize that quickness at just 230.
You see that DiNapoli is the pulling guard. He's not quick enough. He delays just enough so that Cebula gets inside and makes a play in the backfield. Rutgers is consistently in Virginia Tech's backfield.
Out of the eye, Clark still with it and decides to keep. Bounced off Strollmeyer and turns it into a pretty sizable pickup. It'll be a 3rd and short, 12 yards. Thomas Kelly had to chase him down to finally wrestle into the turf.
One of the things that Al Clark is noted for is he's already broken Jim Druckenmiller's squat record. This guy squats with something like 510 pounds, and you'll see where that pays off. Look at his leg strength. That's what made this run happen. He pulls away from and rips through tacklers as if he were a running back.
6'1", 199, not as big, but more athletic than Druckenmiller. And in his only real splash before today, 2 years ago in the Akron game, 6 carries, but 120 yards and scored on 48 and 58 yarders. So those are where the Donovan McNabb comparisons originate.
Well, I think the staff has such confidence in his intellectual ability in addition to the other things. And everyone concedes that he doesn't have the arm strength of a Druckenmiller, but he has so many other assets and he understands the offense.
Derek Smith, by the way, who had limped off previously, back at left tackle with a heavily taped left ankle. And Clark's keeper creating a 3rd and 3 and an audible. Play clock down to 2 as he gets it to Oxendine, and Oxendine at the 44, wrapped up by Sheridan. Helped out by Norris Crawford.
All right, take a look and you'll see once again that the movement by the defensive lineman in the front keep Brian Sheridan clean, meaning no blocker on him. Wonderful play by number 43, Brian Sheridan.
Former New Jersey High School Player of the Year out of Union, New Jersey. Kibble hurried into his best punt of the day. And about all you can do if your Funderburk is let that drop and hit all the way down to the 2 is where Virginia Tech gets the downed 53-yard Kibble punt. Could not have worked the bounce any better twice today. Taking the snaps from the son of the head coach, Shane Beamer.
Here's Shane running off the field. He's really proud. He made another good snap. Nobody ever says anything about Shane unless he makes a bad snap. So we're going to reverse that trend, make his mom, Cheryl, real happy that we bragged on Shane. I have a son, Bill Jr., who did the same thing after I swore that no son of mine would ever hike a ball after I did it for a living for 20 years. Nice snap and a beautiful kick.
Frank says not that tough a recruit. Sold him on the facilities there fairly easily. Struggling forward for about 5, maybe 6, Chris Washington. Coming up at 3:30 this afternoon on ABC. A Pac-10 clash as the UCLA Bruins travel to Pullman to take on the Cougars of Washington State. Plus, Miami at Baylor. ABC regional coverage. Be sure to check your local ABC listings. Just about this entire first quarter, Rutgers with miserable field position. Jones, lucky that one was not picked off by diving Lauren Johnson.
One of the flaws in Jones' delivery is that occasionally he throws a nose down football. What that means is it's difficult to catch and it does tail downward. Fortunately, that's what happened in this situation. Had he thrown a nose-up football here, it would have been another 6 points for Virginia Tech. You see the ball hit the ground? The Virginia Tech guy would have plucked it, and he didn't have far to go.
That one died on it just in time. So 3rd and 5. Brooks motion out of the backfield. Here comes the blitz. Ball is loose and recovered in the end zone for a Virginia Tech touchdown. Carl Bradley. Bradley with the recovery after the hit by a blitzing Corey Bird. And the Virginia Tech defense, as they have so well in building this program to its current heights, making itself felt on the scoreboard. And they have made it a habit 20 times over the last 40 games. They've put points up. Bradley, a sophomore from Lynchburg, Virginia, with the recovery. Shane Graham's extra point, and it's 14-0.
One of the things that you must do in a situation like this, where there's an all-out blitz coming, as you see the left side of the line here, you must throw on rhythm and get rid of the football. You must also pick up the most dangerous blitzer, who in this case comes from the B gap, or between the guard and the tackle. Rutgers was not able to do either. As you see, number 36, who stepped out to the outside rather than picking up the inside guy, and that's what caused Chris Washington should have picked up 16, the blitzer from the inside, and that would have prevented the difficulty.
Looked as if, especially from that last angle, Jones had the arm going forward, but I don't think he had control of the ball as it was going forward. I think by the point it was going ahead, the ball had been jarred loose by Corey Bird. Again to the studio, Carl Ravitch.
Hi, Dave, and it looks as if the sheer size and power of West Virginia is beginning to wear down Marshall. Curtis Keaton going left side, getting some good blocks and taking it in. Randy Moss, only 2 catches for 25 yards. They're down by 25.
Welcome to 1A, Thundering Herd. Newest members of the MAC. Bradley with the touchdown for a 2-touchdown Hokie advantage in the final seconds of the first quarter. And finally, the poor field position that Rutgers has suffered through this entire quarter, proving very costly. Kibble with the return by Steve Harper.
Here's the touchdown play. You see a blitzer that will be coming in the B gap. Yes, there'll be a guy coming from the outside, and there'll be a guy that comes in this gap. The back will step here, and his job is to pick up the inside of the 2. And the mistake that's made is that he picks up the outside blocker, or rather the outside rusher, so that the inside man makes the hit and knocks the ball loose.
He'll pick somebody up, make sure it's the man closest to his target. In that case, Corey Bird. And the disastrous result. But Crooks breaks a nice one. All the way to the 38. Anthony Midget on the stop there against Jackie Crooks. 5'11", 195. Just under 300 yards last year as a freshman. And the Knights can use the threat of a running game to maybe establish some doubt in the Hokie defense's minds collectively of when to go after Jones. Because I don't know if Rutgers will ever be able to stop him if they're consistently teeing off on him. Incomplete after Chris Hutton had broken free at about the 42. Jones a little bit upset at another low delivery, and one more play before we'll see the end of the first quarter. 0 for 6 after Jones connected on his first 2. So a 2 for 8, 29-yard first quarter as a college quarterback.
Yeah, excuse me. That sort of thing makes a quarterback look bad, but Engelberger was in his face doing his job on the naked boot.
So on 2nd and 10, Engelberger right there again. They have the screen set up, but read well. Chris Washington made the catch, and as soon as he did, Michael Hawks was right there. Terrific recognition by Hawks as the first quarter ends in Piscataway with a 14-0 lead for Virginia Tech over the Scarlet Knights of Rutgers. Fairly warm in the mid-70s, should get to the low 80s today at Piscataway as we begin quarter number 2 from Rutgers Stadium. Glad you're along. Dave Barnett, Bill Curry, and Dave Ryan with a 14-0 Virginia Tech lead. The Knights with a 3rd and 13. As Jones yet again chased this one up for grabs, and luckily too tall for Andy Holland, and they screen for a flag. But there is no flag. There was pressure, though, and that came from Kerwin Hairston. So anytime you punt against the Hokies, you worry about the possibility of a block, and especially you have to worry about this man who had 3 of their 5 blocks last year. And Bill, as Frank Beamer explained last night, it is never an accident. They work long and hard on exactly how to be this successful on the special team.
Yes, and every single man on this team is a speed guy with the capacity to block one.
That time the wall functioned pretty well for Slovan. And Sean Scales with the fair catch after a 43-yarder. Down on the sidelines again, Dave Ryan.
Well, Dave, we saw trouble from Mike Jones out there a moment ago. He's got some guys warming up behind him. Mike McMahon, Brendan Edmonds. Mike McMahon from Western Pennsylvania is the top recruit and apparently the quarterback of the future here. We're not sure exactly when head coach Terry Shea will go to his backups. They have been warming up and getting ready with a struggling of Mike Jones. Back to you.
Terry Shea acted as if he would give Jones the first half no matter what. Do you think he's going to vary from that now?
I think he'll stay with him through the half, but he doesn't know what he's going to do at the half if Jones does not get the job done.
Gain of about 3 right up the middle for Lamont Pegues on his first carry. Again to Carl Ravage. Bill, we saw the Orangemen in the Kickoff Classic last week. Shock Wisconsin with a shutout win. Ron Dane got nowhere all day. This is Cullen Hawkins. And Brady there as he reaches the sideline. So the Hokies working some of their depth in behind Al Clark at running back. With Pegues, a transfer from Clemson, where he, as a true freshman, led them in rushing a couple of years ago. Only the second freshman ever to do that, and now Hawkins joining him.
The Rutgers defense has played well against the run with the exception of the one long run. This is not a lot of rushing yards for a big team like Virginia Tech.
And remember, 48 of those 63 on that long run by Parker. That set up the Oxendine score. Clark is sacked. Aaron Brady has him.
The reason this happened is because Rod Sharpless made an excellent call. The inside backer moved over, came off the corner against the sprint. These are the kinds of tendencies that defensive coordinators study, and it worked because of the excellent call and the fine play by Aaron Brady.
Top sophomore tackler in the Big East a year ago. Kibble gets better and better with every kick. Funderburk down all the way to the 7 before he finally corralled the muffed punt. Salvages a little bit of a return out to the 13. Could have been worse, but the punt could have been much better by Jimmy Kibble. He's had a terrific first half. So have the Hokies up 14-0, 13-21 in the second. That punt by Kibble traveled 60 yards, and it really could have been a tremendous mistake by Funderburk to even try to field it.
Yeah, when the ball's away from your body and sailing away from you, you need to just let it go.
Knights again, deep in their own end. Jones, one of his best efforts so far in the afternoon.
Jones pass complete to Walter King.
And Walter King there to bring it in.
This is a play action that this is a play action that causes the backside corner to give extra cushion. A nice cut block on the defensive end, and Midget has to make the play from a distance. So a first down for Rutgers.
Right at the marker, as you saw. Good enough for 10 in the first. On King's first catch. Jackie Crooks has had some nice moments in this half. This is not one of them. Stacked up, first man there, Engelberger. Again, Carl Ravage. Well, Alabama upping it to 21-0. West Virginia in the intrastate matchup dominating Marshall. They lead Georgia. We will hear again momentarily from Carl. Second down after the no gain. And Jones starting to get a rhythm. Another catch on that same pattern by King.
That's precisely the same thing that we saw previously. There was a small difference that should be noted. Corey Irby, the outside linebacker, was not fooled that time. He did not play the run. And Jones is going to have to be very careful before he throws that again. But I'm sure that Coach Shea saw that as well.
Rutgers feels that the strength of this team is depth at wide receiver, and we see why with King contributing so well on this drive. Crooks, though, has been bottled up. They have made him a marked man after some nice first quarter gains. And Engelberger, who's wearing Cornell Brown's jersey, might pass for Cornell Brown. He's been that active.
I think Cornell would be very proud of him today. He is a ball player. What's happening is that the offensive line in the running game for Rutgers is getting manhandled. They're going to have to get those pads down and move their feet better.
No gain. 2nd and 10. Here comes Prelo on a blitz. Jones escapes and keeps for about 3. Boy, Prelo's eyes had to have been popping out. He had a clean shot coming from the left side.
This is a very complicated blitz. Prelo is clean from the outside. The pickup was adequate in that the inside people were not clean as a whistle. So the quarterback at least had a chance to either throw the ball or duck up inside and make something from the play.
And Jones still trying to pick up his first 3rd down conversions, showing some nice peripheral vision to step up and away from the danger. And now checking various targets, none of whom are open, and Crooks can't make the diving catch.
Jones showed excellent mobility here, and this is something that Coach Shea had told us. He doesn't have great speed, but he does have good peripheral vision. He does have good pocket presence. He made a good decision. He just didn't quite connect with the open guy. Those are plays that you have to make to sustain drives.
No doubt the best series so far engineered by Jones. From deep in their own end, couple of first downs. Little bit of progress evident. Low snap, again trouble is handled nicely by Slovin. And forces the fair catch by Scales at the 19-yard line. Slovin averts disaster and manages a 43-yarder. Rutgers football dates back to not quite that deep into history, but those guys still waiting to fire that cannon on the first night touchdown. And Jack McKiernan has had a very, very shaky first half in terms of the long snaps. He's had 3 bad ones.
Jack simply must pull his hands through. Everything is follow through. It's a lot like a golf swing, and that may sound strange when you're bent over, but he's had 3 poor snaps today, and it could have been disastrous for his team.
Bowman making like Ray Ordonez, handling the bad hops. Handling this one, turning into a big game. Marcus Gildersleeve in a foot race, and Gildersleeve will go 81 yards.
Now, there's a question in my mind, Dave, as to whether his knee touched on that catch. I think we need to see the replay. It won't make any difference because it won't have an effect on the game, but it certainly looked as if he might have touched his knee down on that catch. Sees Gildersleeve's coming off on a simple hitch pattern here. This is something, yep, his knee is down. He should have made about a 3-yard gain there. Very important for the officials to see things like that. That has a huge effect on this football game. Very unfortunate.
Another Shane Graham point after. Well, Rutgers figured their chance today was to be the team that broke the big plays, and they right now are being broken by the big plays. Fumble recovery by the defense of the end zone, and what turns into a long scoring strike between Clark and Gildersleeve, stretching the Tech lead to 21-0. 10:48 still to go, first half at a quiet Rutgers Stadium. Marcus Gildersleeve, who breaks the long one, but some question as to exactly how much of that was legitimate.
Yeah, I don't think there's much question. His knee was on the ground. That's an unfortunate thing, but it happens in football.
People's kickoffs getting, just as his punts are getting deeper and deeper. Watch the right knee right there.
These are things that officials, the official is not 3 feet away. He has to see those things. Those are very important for coaches' job security, to be real blunt about it.
Offside signaled against Tech on the kick. Kind of thing that Shea said yesterday, we just can't allow it to happen. We have to be the guys making the big play.
Offsides, kicking team, 5-yard penalty, re-kick.
Because physically, they know just as well as anybody else that the game that Kim Helton tried to get out of because he had lost a key assistant to the Alabama staff of Mike Dubose, but no dice, and you know why? He just as soon not have to go into Alabama.
I don't think any of that assistant scored any of those touchdowns.
So this time the kick is returnable. And returning it into a big chunk is Reggie Stevens to the 37-yard line. So in essence, that's a 17-yard penalty against Virginia Tech, thanks to Stevens. And his 33-yard return. Today's discus athletic students of the game. From Rutgers, Reggie Funderburk. Athletically, he's a senior in his 5th year, actually working toward an MBA right now, a degree in business and sociology, and a 311 GPA. And from Virginia Tech, we honor Michael Stewie, senior majoring in hospitality and tourism management with a 3.08 GPA. Discus Athletic proud to donate $1,000 to each school's general scholarship fund on behalf of these athletes. And there is Reggie Funderburk, who came back this year after missing because of a knee injury all of the '96 season. And Stewie, one point, as we said, tripping up and down the East Coast looking for programs which would invite him to walk on. The last stop he made was Blacksburg.
Yeah, and he is one of 5 Hokie starters that began their careers as walk-ons. John Engelberger, believe it or not, was a walk-on. Kerwin Hairston, Danny Wheel. Now that's 3/4 of the starting front 4 that started as walk-ons for Virginia Tech, and they are big league players. Finally, Steve Tate, another starting linebacker, number 49. All those guys started as walk-ons and are just good, hard workers, good football players.
Steve Harper limping off for Rutgers. First Washington shifting back into the I. Jackie Crooks. Jackie slipping through to the 46. Almost got loose. Anthony Lambeau with maybe a touchdown saving tackle.
One of the players that the Rutgers staff's really high on is Billy Woodard, tight end, junior college transfer. Comes off the ball, keeps his feet moving. He's got a bad ankle, maybe just grabbing a little bit of jersey there, not too much. He'll have to be careful about that, but he has a great future. 6'7", 250 pounds.
8th carry for Crooks for 32 yards. Much of it on his own. So 1st and 10, 46. Try the hot hand again. And they say he didn't step out where it appeared he might have at the 49. He got 3 extra yards and a total of about 8.
That's another excellent block by Billy Woodard. He didn't sustain it as long as he might have, but he really drilled the defender off the ball. Billy, as I said, is a big guy with athletic abilities from Wilson, North Carolina, transferred from Merced Junior College in California. I saw him in practice Thursday night, and I was really concerned about whether he would play. So he's out there in some pain on that ankle, but he's doing a fine job at the point of attack.
Arizona, Arizona State, Oregon, all recruiting him out of the Pac-10. And he was at Merced Junior College. Shea convinced him to come east. And the snap clock ran out on Mike Jones.
There is never a good time for a delay of game, but 2nd and 2 may be the worst of all times. You just don't want to give up that field position and a chance to go. They may have had a big play call. 2nd down called the waist down, 2nd and short. They might have had a big one to go up top. Now they're going to have to work to make a 1st down. And in a game like this, Rutgers cannot afford those kinds of errors.
They need more 2nd and 2s.
Those are hard to come by. Everybody can play call on 2nd and 2. Those 3rd and 14s, it's kind of hard. Everybody kind of turns their head and walks away from the head coach.
2nd and 7, not that much fun either. That's what it's faced with here.
But you got to call some.
Joe Diggs drifting into the eye. Crooks can't quite squeeze through on the blocking, but on his own power gouges his way to the 45. He plays bigger than the listed 5'11", 195. Engelberger and Smith combining on the tackle.
Hey, that's great football. 5.5 yards. All the big guys up front. It's getting all sweaty and bloody down there in the middle. They just come off that football, knock those Virginia Tech guys back, and make 5 yards. Rutgers has got a chance if they can just sustain things.
Brooks, another one who came east to play for Terry Shea. He has spent most of his best years as a coach on the West Coast. On Bill Walsh's staff at Stanford, Crooks with the pitch should have the first with the spin ahead to the 43.
One of the things that Frank Beamer emphasized is that their free safety Carpenter is going to have to tackle for them, and even though the first down was made there, Carpenter was up there smashing. The other thing about that is as he continues to be a big part of the run defense, the 9th tackler, so to speak, look for the play action. Look for the play action to exploit his proximity to the line of scrimmage.
Jones throwing it behind Walter King. Had the screen set up, had 3 defenders bearing down on him, taking themselves out of the play, but did not deliver an accurate pass.
This is not an easy throw to make, but it's one that you have to hit. This is like a slip screen. The receiver has a little too much depth, and the ball is thrown behind him even with the depth that he has. Mike's got to have a little more patience, give that a little more time to develop, and hit him right between the numbers.
Numbers not looking too healthy at the moment for Jones. In his first action as a college quarterback, Joe Diggs on his first carry up the middle may lose one on the quick move by Lambeau and Steve Tate. They had another one of those Hokie walk-ons.
Yeah,
they're not Nebraska with the walk-on programs, but they've done an awful lot with it there.
Well, they stayed with Nebraska for almost, 3 quarters last year in the Orange Bowl, and Coach Beamer said he found out what real depth is, but they do have some depth, and they are playing excellent football.
This one would help, though, if they can pick up a 3rd and long. And Diggs should be able to do it. Might come up a little bit short, but not for lack of effort, leaping right into Anthony Midget. And you see and hear the sentiment on the Rutgers side. Go for it on 4th and 1.
What the coaches would have preferred here, here's a free safety blitz. Carpenter's coming. It's a busted coverage. A linebacker should have been out there with him. And what the coaches would have preferred from their running back in that situation, they would have preferred that he stay on his feet and make a move and make the first down rather than diving.
Well, should be an easy decision to go for it, but Rutgers calls timeout to decide exactly how to go for it with 7:28 to go. Still shut out in the second. Terry Shea has dipped into his vast playbook, decided what to do on a 4th and 1. Fauntleroy back in at fullback after Diggs got him to this point.
Great time for a play-action pass if you got the nerve.
They give it to Crooks, who will be caught by Prelo behind the line.
11 white
power
shirts.
Football, and the 11 white shirts expected just that.
11 white shirts were at or near the line of scrimmage. If you got the nerve to pull it down, let that tight end pop into his man and then explode, it's almost impossible that he would be covered.
And I'm surprised they didn't go play action, because as they told us, they were all too aware yesterday. They know man-to-man, they don't really match up physically, but they tried to out-physical him there. Consistent Tech defense has racked up another one of those low-scoring quarters. In fact, scoreless so far. Al Clark gets away once, but not twice, and is driven down for a loss by Brian Yeager. Down to Dave Ryan.
All right, guys, thanks very much. Michael Stewie, number 31, a senior walk-on we talked about for Virginia Tech, comes from Somerset, New Jersey, which is about a mile away from the stadium here in Piscataway. His father, Dennis, joins us now. How is it that he goes to Virginia Tech when he's only a couple of minutes away here in New Jersey?
I don't think he was quite ready for this level of football when he came out of high school, and so he went elsewhere to do his best to get on, and he's done a very good job at Virginia Tech. We're really proud of him.
And Dennis, it was a last-ditch effort on the recruiting trail to get him to Virginia Tech, even though he wanted to go to Rutgers, went to the junior football camps and everything.
Well, he didn't want to take that drive over there, but after a bit of persuading, he did finally say, okay, we'll go and give it a visit, and it turned out great for him.
Thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much.
All right, guys, back to you.
Minnesota. Friends out Minnesota.
Squeeze that in. Proud Papa. Ball was batted down by Gil Ross to set the 3rd and 11. Clark has that one deflected and intercepted by Kelly. Thomas Kelly's return to the 35, and the intended receiver, Sean Sullivan, is hurt. It bounced off his hands to Kelly, who brought it back 23 yards. And Sullivan injured, no doubt, in psyche as well as physically after this.
This is a 4 vertical route. The ball is thrown at the proper depth, but it's elevated by Al Clark more than it should have been, off the fingertips and into Thomas Kelly's hands. Thomas Kelly, a very competent leader and free safety for Rutgers, and a man that they're counting on. Coach Sharp said they were going to keep him in the middle of the field as much as possible, and you just saw one of the reasons for that. Rutgers must convert here and get something on the board before the half.
First quarter that ever got this close. And Jones, waiting too long to make up his mind, suffers the sack by Anthony Lambeau, the backup at defensive tackle behind Kerwin Hairston.
One of the keys to this thing, as we mentioned earlier, is the pocket protection. The left side is being caved in completely, as you see here, as they set for pass. There's very little trickery involved here. Simply physical domination by the Virginia Tech team.
Lambeau not playing like a backup. That's Corey Bird, who is down injured for Virginia Tech. He's the man who hit Jones in the end zone and caused the fumble that Carl Bradley recovered for a touchdown in the first quarter. Redshirt freshman from Mays Landing here in New Jersey, and he does have his own rooting section in evidence here at Rutgers Stadium.
You hate to see anybody down on the field. It looks as if it is possibly a shoulder injury. Probably isn't serious, but it is certainly painful. Could be that he just got a pinched nerve. All the feeling disappears, and when it starts to come back, it's excruciating. Looks like he'll probably be okay.
Got some folks here. Second down, 16 for the Knights, who have Diggs back in the split backfield. Jones again waiting almost too long that time, and almost had Diggs. Boy, Diggs thinking that one will go if it just gets to him.
Well, it got to him. A very nice throw. Excellent presence by Jones. And guess who tips the ball? I'll give you 3 guesses. Engelberger. Guy's a defensive end. You think, well, he ought to be rushing the passer. Not so. There are schemes, as we talked to the defensive coordinator for Virginia Tech. That defensive end drops off, and he just saved a touchdown with a last-ditch effort to tip that ball away.
He had to drop back because Prelo from Rover was blitzing. Almost got there. 3rd and 16, and incomplete. Even if Walter King makes the catch, he's about 4 yards shy of the marker. And Jones checking all the parts as he makes his way up and off the field.
The deepest and the most talented group on the Rutgers team is the wide receiver corps. King has got to make that catch. He's got to lay out, look that ball into his hands, and pull it in. His team desperately needs him to do that. Jones is limping. Somebody hit him as he threw the ball. Looked like it might be his knee.
Slovan has had a good first half in 2 different areas. He's had to feel some poor snaps, 3 of them from Jack McKiernan. And he's punted well.
Jack's got to pull his hands all the way through here. Follow through, Jack.
Much better.
Yep, Slovan was so happy with that.
Scales allows it to hop. And right at the 10 is where the Knights' Thomas Kelly is able to down it 33 yards on the kick. ESPN Game Plan presents the college football package that can't be duplicated. A subscription to ESPN Game Plan gives you up to 100 top college football games that aren't on TV in your area. 14 weeks of exciting Big Ten, Pac-10, Big East, Big 12, ACC, SEC, and WAC matchups. So subscribe today and save. Call your cable operator or DirecTV. Well, Jones getting checked. McMahon and Brendan Edwards had already been warming up, as Dave Ryan reported. We may see him before expected. Shea wanted to get Jones in his first college action, at least the first half, before thinking about making a change. And Clark's got to think about a timeout. First call by the Hokies with 5:53 in the first half. Deep in their own end, but comfortable on the board at 21. Well, it's 21-0 Tech. But without too much of a stretch of your imagination, Bill, this could be 14-14.
Very easily with the correct call on Gildersleeve and with Rutgers capitalizing.
Especially in the second quarter, they have had chances. But the Tech defense has prevented any damage at all so far. Parker, who has the big run of the day for Tech, a 48-yarder, setting up a Oxendine touchdown. Tries the middle for a couple. Charles Woolridge made the tackle. Parker out of Roanoke split time at tailback last year. Oxendine missed some time against East Carolina. He really showed what he could do with 117 yards as the feature back. Oxendine to the 17. Wrapped up there by Kelly. Initial hit by Sheridan to Carl Ravage. Bill, obviously got to ask you, how big is that matchup for Kentucky against their in-state rival?
That is a huge matchup.
Knows whereof he speaks. Gildersleeve again slips away and should have the first marked down at the 22. It will be a Tech first down. Down to Dave Ryan.
Well, Dave, Corey Bird, as we saw, was injured earlier in the game. They are right now working feverishly on his right shoulder. The trainers tell us he may have popped out the shoulder, could be separated, or may have actually come out of the socket. They're very concerned he will not be able to come back in this game today. Doesn't look good for him.
Well, he's already made his contribution, but that got to be a painful disappointment for the redshirt freshman from here in Jersey. 1st and 10 it is for Tech. Time for one more score, plenty of it, under 4.5, as Parker goes wide, and with a move around, Stevens is able to turn that one into another huge gain, his second of the day. This one good for 33 before Kelly finally had an angle.
It's easy to see why Parker was such an outstanding tailback. And now from the fullback position, they've got a tailback type play for him. He eludes Stevens, the corner, who should have come down with him for about a 6-yard gain. The secondary must tackle better if Rutgers is going to have a chance to get back in this game.
4 carries for 66 yards for Marcus Parker. This pitch to Pegues, former Clemson Tiger. Hit out of bounds at the 40 by Brady. Lamont Pegues, pretty good pickup as a transfer out of Thomasville, North Carolina, faster than either Parker or Oxendine.
Yeah, and he's got those quick feet. He's got the excellent agility that a great back must have.
6,000-yard gainer in high school.
Timeout, Rutgers.
Things to discuss defensively for Rod Sharpless's group, and that is their second timeout of this first half with 4:11 to go. Rod Sharpless, as we said, with 3 years on the staff of Beamer at Virginia Tech, says they have improved tremendously defensively at Rutgers from last year. And he uses something old, an 8-man front, something new, an attacking style that he has borrowed from Don James, and those innovations he got going at Washington. Jerry Claiborne, also a man that he has served in the coaching profession. Another one of his major influences. Well, tomorrow at 1, the ESPN NASCAR Ride Along program takes you to the 1.3-mile Darlington International Raceway. It's the Mountain Dew Southern 500. Jeff Gordon looks to do what only Bill Elliott did in 1985, win the Winston Million. A $1 million bonus for winning 3 of NASCAR's 4 major races. All the race action beginning on ESPN2. The pre-race show, NASCAR Today at 12:30. That leads you into the Mountain Dew Southern 500 on ESPN at 1 p.m. Play change by Clark, who keeps him in the eye on a 2nd and 6. Changing it twice. He's got time, 5 on the play clock. After all that, Pegues is tripped up for a short gain by Gil Ross.
I'll tell you what, Gil Ross was the last line of defense. If Gil Ross doesn't come down with him and catch him by the ankle, he is off to the races, to use the old football horse racing term. And Pegues knows it. He saw that big green.
Ross lost his starting job today to a true freshman, Terrell Freeney, but maybe regaining it here. 3rd and 2, and Clark, quarterback draw, look out. Shows the speed all the way down to the 15, where he's hit out on the side by Norris Crawford, with 21 yards for Clark.
Now, just a couple of plays ago, Thomas Kelly, the free safety, went out. He was replaced by Shin Black. Now Shin's got a chance to make a big play for his squad on the quarterback draw here. He has got to make that tackle for about an 8-yard gain at the max. Sharpless is not a happy fellow right now.
The Excedrin headache bearing in now. 119 mostly big play rushing yards for the Hokie ground game. 3.5 before the half as Oxendine cuts it back. Should be given the 13. Aaron Brady running into him there. The whole scheme for Rutgers involving bottling up the middle and trying to make him turn wide, which initially Oxendine had to do. Then he cut back. That's where he got his 3 yards.
Well, they're base plays that are designed for the tailback, Oxendine, really have not hurt Rutgers nearly as much as the fullback plays, which tend to go to the weak side or the open side.
From the shotgun with 4 wides. They pitch it to Parker. Parker dancing in for the touchdown.
This is a very unusual call. This is an option play from the shotgun. It's not something that defenses are accustomed to. It may even be brand new. I don't know if they've run this before, but we have not seen this from Virginia Tech in the past. The snap in the gun, only one back in the backfield. The quarterback accelerating down the line of scrimmage to the end man, where the ball is pitched to Parker, who simply walked in the end zone.
Way to go, Ola.
Well, by far the least celebrated of the starting backs by Tech, but by far the biggest headache for the Rutgers defense today. Another Shane Graham extra point for a 28-0 Virginia Tech lead.
Rutgers nothing.
Let's hear again from Carl Ravitch. Carl.
Hi, Dave. Coming up on the National Car Rental Halftime Report, a couple of stories we're going to chase. The Mike Dubose debut at Alabama. Coaches historically haven't had success in their season debuts at Alabama. Also, the NC State-Syracuse game. They have gone to half of the dome. This is not as easy as the season opener was for Syracuse. And also a report from Gator Country as Florida opens up defense of the national title. Tonight they take on Southern Miss on ESPN2. We'll see you at the half.
All right, Carl. Rutgers has seen way too much of Mr. Parker. 5 carries, 79 yards, and that touchdown. Oxendine, and then they were most worried about. Meanwhile, Bill just 8 yards on his 12 carries.
He has really not had much place to run. And, of course, Parker has been the reciprocal of that. You'll see this here now. This is going to be an option. The quarterback will take the snap. He'll come down in this direction. The pitchback will hesitate, be back here for the pitch, and it's a beautifully executed play. Excellent blocking downfield, I should add. The receivers did a fine job in order to get him in the end zone.
So the unusual look from that formation, you knew exactly what the result should be if executed that well. And Kibble continues to drive him 5 and 6 yards deep to Stevens.
I'll tell you what Coach Shea is going to be looking for. He's going to be looking for any quit in his team. See if his guys will keep fighting in the face of this adversity. That'll be really important for this Rutgers team.
Jones got that left knee checked after the last series. But we'll get this series too with 2:41 to go in the half. Couple of opportunities, but nothing cashed in for the Scarlet Knights. We're seeing their worst fears panning out in a blowout first half performance by the Hokies. Diggs has been a bright spot though. Remains one for about 7. Bothered by injuries throughout his entire career here. He's a senior, carried just twice last year. Mainly it's been his hamstring that's bothered him, but he is the strongest man on the team at running back.
He also sees impressive. The best. He got his glasses on. He's got them on right now. I thought it was humorous that he had them on in the press guide, but he plays with those glasses. I like that.
425 bench at running back. Man. Crooks. Carpenter couldn't get him with the ankle tackle. Engelberger did.
Carpenter is slapping his hands and is doing the proverbial search for his jockstrap because he really got wasted in the line of scrimmage there. Nice move by Crooks. And a first down.
There's Keon. Junior out of Baltimore. Knights had come to the line, and then they get whistled right there, and the referee, John Smith, checking on why that happened.
That free safety is up in the line of scrimmage trying to make tackles. They got to exploit that. They got to work the post, the play action with the post. That has to be coming.
Short drop, get it into Diggs' hands again, and Diggs in turn running into the hands of Danny Wheel. Wheel got the start on the one defensive end for Chris Cyrus today. Wheel, the only player who is a member of the Virginia Tech Corps of Cadets out of Williamsburg, not recruited by anybody because you don't usually recruit guys who play on 0-10 high school teams. His misfortune to be easily the standout as a senior in Williamsburg.
Yeah, but he's become a wheel on this team.
Major Cobb, 2nd and 11 on the delay. Crooks bounced off and continues on. Might go. Couple of guys with an angle though, and Jackie Crooks reaches the 21. Anthony Midget had the best angle, but they finally break the big plays they knew they needed today. 49 yards.
The story of the game is that Rutgers has had opportunity after opportunity. Here's one. Crooks does a nice job of bouncing off, makes a nice long run, almost went the distance. But I'm going to say this, I begin to sound like a broken record. Rutgers must cash in. The only way they have a chance to get back in this game is to cash in and then make some big things happen in the second half.
Crooks resting while Jermaine Robinson, 42, is checked in. Diggs had to get him into the proper spot. Time for Jones, who delivers complete on the side for Bill Powell. Might have a first. We do have a flag. Carpenter wrapping up Powell at the 11.
These receivers are capable of making big plays, as you saw there. Nice catch, nice elusiveness in the open field, and a good run.
What you had to figure it was a face mask on the tackle.
It almost had to be. What we'll see here is excellent protection. This is one of the few times that Jones has been able to set up, take his time, make a nice deliberate throw, and then have a good run by his receiver on the other end of it.
Not a blatant face mask.
No, it'd be a 5-yard variety, I'm sure.
Carpenter got him inadvertently, but it's the same price, and it's 1st and goal. Rutgers on their best chance by far of this first half to cash in from the 6. Crooks with the pitch, again bounces off and reaches forward inside the 2.
Well blocked at the point of attack. Well blocked. This is a simple toss sweep. Coach Shea has kept his offense reasonably simple for the obvious reasons of the new quarterback.
He said yesterday about 2/3 of the full West Coast offense is what he's installed at this point.
65 to 70%. Is that 2/3?
About 2/3, yeah. I think either one of us majored in math. Second,
got that right.
End goal at the 1. And forward goes Chris Washington, but not far enough forward. They'll mark him a foot shy with 37 seconds and counting. Rutgers does have one more timeout. They want to use it right here.
Engelberger couldn't get lined up that time. One of the few times today that he hadn't been in exactly the right spot. It's amazing that he didn't run over and put himself into the play. Okay, here we are. Engelberger's struggling. He's running around. He's not sure where to go, but we're going to see the ball go up the middle, see which team gets off the ball with the most velocity. Actually, it's a stalemate, in which case the back really ought to drive in there and keep his feet moving and drive himself into the end zone. Would have been a great thing for Rutgers right there if Washington could have just kept his feet churning and gotten that ball across the plane. And remember, all he has to do is break the imaginary plane of the goal line with the football before his knee touches. And that's a judgment by the official. Very hard to see in there for the officials, but that's what you hope for in a short yardage runner. Pretty good job by the offensive line.
And we're going to call 2 plays in the huddle.
Again, coming up at the half, Chris Fowler, Lee Corso, Kirk Herbstreit. And the National Car Rental halftime report. The Tide rolling over Houston today. Syracuse and the Orange in action. And we'll preview Florida at home tonight against Southern Miss. Steve Spurrier has tried to drive home the point that, look, Southern Miss beats. They make a habit of beating SEC teams.
Southern Miss loves to go into a stadium in the state of Alabama or the state of Florida and whip those big-time schools, and they've done it repeatedly.
Billy Shea hoping for a late first half boost by getting 6 here. Fauntleroy is in at the fullback, takes the handoff off right tackle, and the Knights are on the board.
That's really important for this Rutgers team. Nice feeling. The way they did it, they hammered it down the field. They got it inside into goal line territory, gave it to their big guy, knocked him out of there. There was excellent blocking at the point of attack. Nobody hit Fauntleroy until he was in the end zone. Nice job right side of the offensive line.
He is the biggest they can throw out there. Running back, 245-pounder. Who drives forward for the points, and now the extra point.
Excellent snap.
McDonald.
Excellent snap, I should say, by Jack McKiernan. And the Rutgers guys are feeling much better right now. It is remarkable. You watch these guys right here. Clint Hunt, Ryan Como. I'm sorry, that's Sean O'Hara, 66. Luna, number 40. Here they come. Boom, nice job. Yes, sir. Into the end zone. That's how you score. That's a place for men down there. As tough as Virginia Tech is, and heaven knows they're tough, if you get your pad under theirs and move your feet, you can get things done.
Boy, they needed that one. Clint Hunt, along with O'Hara, doing that terrific drive blocking to free Fauntleroy for the touchdown run. Crooks with the 48-yarder. Breaking their first true big play of the day to make the points possible with 30 seconds to spare in the first half.
That was a really nice drive.
Fauntleroy out of Swedesboro, New Jersey. Now, how will that change the tenor of both locker rooms at half? Even though you're still in great shape if you're Tech, that gives you a little something to prod them with coming out for the second half if you're Beamer.
Well, the coach can go in now and say, come on, man, look, the score could be tied here. All we've got to do is take advantage of our opportunities. We take the ball and drive it down the field and ram it in the end zone when we don't make mistakes and when we play aggressively. It will give Coach Shea an awful lot of ammunition. It will also give Coach Beamer a lot of ammunition, because what he's likely to say is, all right, man, we had a big lead. We decided it was going to be easy, and they ran down the field and rammed the ball down our throat in the end zone. Let's don't let that happen again.
I point out, as we expect this kickoff, the new rules, which you may have already read about or heard about, involving the clock on kickoff plays in the last 2 minutes of each half. It's the way it's always been. The clock doesn't run until somebody touches the kick, but up until that point, one way they're trying to save time and move along college football, they're starting the game clock as soon as the kicker makes contact with the ball.
The rule has always been that the clock wouldn't start until the receiver touched the ball. With the exception of the last 2 minutes of the first half and the last 2 minutes in the game, now the clock will start when the ball is kicked. Since we're in the last 2 minutes, the rule will revert to the old one, so that when the ball is touched in the field of play, the clock will begin. Then when the half is over, the 20-minute clock indicating the time in the half will begin to run immediately, rather than when everyone has left the field, which is the way the rule has been up until this year.
Lee McDonald lays into that one. High but short. Parker from the 15. Down we go to Dave Ryan.
Well, Dave, certainly good news for Gary Fauntleroy, number 5, who has the big touchdown run moments ago for Rutgers. Remember, in preseason drills, a lot of problem with the injured left knee. Coaches weren't exactly sure if he'd be 100% today. In fact, he was questionable coming into this afternoon's game with Virginia Tech. Now, looks pretty good for Fauntleroy and the Knights, at least getting on the board today.
They get the points from him, but the guy who's been most impressive at that spot all day has been Diggs, who is about 50 pounds shy of Fauntleroy's girth at 195, but before Crooks broke the 48-yarder, Diggs had been the standout easily in the Rutgers two-back sets. To the 30 goes Oxendine, maybe on the last play of the first half.
Fauntleroy is one of those very highly touted New Jersey players coming out of high school. It would be very good for him and his team if he could finish strongly here in his last year. Virginia Tech's just going to let the clock run out here. Fans are always amazing to a coach. They say, why didn't you go for it? Going from the 80 yards.
Yeah, those were easy. Why did you turn down the 80-yard touchdown there? Virginia Tech living up to the billing based on 2 great years in a row. 28-7, they lead here at Rutgers at halftime. Let's send you back to the studio and Carl.
A 28-7 game.
Marcus Gildersleeve credited with an 81-yard touchdown when it appeared the knee had touched right after the catch. And the total yardage for Virginia Tech, 247, mostly on Marcus Parker's terrific first half for the Hokies. 5 carries, but 79 yards and a touchdown. Ken Oxendine held to 16 yards on 13 carries. And Al Clark, at his first start, 5 of 7 through the air for 104 yards. And 6 rushes for 38 yards. He's shown both aspects of his talent. Rutgers with 105 rushing, 104 of it by Jackie Crooks, and 8 of 19 for Jones for those 66 passing yards. Down to the sideline, and Dave.
4 or more yards for either or both teams. But you average in those long runs, if they happened on first down, that could be a little deceiving.
Yep, the strike to Gildersleeve, the 81-yarder, that was a first down. Parker, 48, that was a first down. So that's why the average seems to be higher than it possibly could be. Sean Scales will settle for the touchback. And Al Clark, in his first start, has been at the very least solid, and at times has been the weapon that Frank Beamer needs him to be and thinks he can be.
I would use Coach Beamer's words. Al Clark is going to be just fine. He's smart. He understands our offense. He's been here a long time. I don't know if it'll be today or tomorrow or next week, but he's going to be fine, and I think he's been more than adequate in the first half.
And there it is, thanks to the big play factor. First down this time will be a loss of a couple, and Oxendine has not fooled anybody because they have keyed on him so heavily today. Parker has been able to slip free. Do you think that changes? Do they pay more defensive attention in the scheme to Parker this half?
Well, the linebackers don't stand there and look at one back over the other. They play their responsibility, but the defense is schemed to take away the Oxendine plays. What has really hurt them is Parker coming back to the other side.
Parker, the I fullback, takes the fake. Clark, look out, Al Clark. Only Gil Ross with a chance, and forget about it. Al Clark, 82 yards.
Now, one of the things we asked Ricky Bussell, the offensive coordinator for Virginia Tech last night, is will you alter your offensive scheme for the presence of Clark as opposed to Druckenmiller? He said only in a subtle fashion. We might change the emphasis. We might run a little more option. He might use his running backs more. What we saw was the option right there. It's the second time the option's been called, and both times it's been a touchdown. This time a very long touchdown.
Well, I'd say based on what we've seen on this 82-yarder, he better call more options, because here's what could happen.
Yeah, this guy right here, Thomas Kelly, is the guy who ought to be able to make this play. Let's see what happens. Here he comes. Nice job by the receiver screening him off. The receiver got in there and blocked the free safety. When that happens, the corner should make the play. We don't know who the corner was on that side, but when the receiver leaves the corner to go and block the free safety, the corner must make that play for a 10 or 12-yard gain.
And that block was Michael Stewie's.
Michael Stewie has to be a very happy young man since he grew up not very far from here.
So twice Al Clark involved in the biggest plays of the day. One on the pass, which, as we've documented, should have gone down as just a short gain. This time, though, Al Clark does it with the aid of the Stewie block just about all by himself. And Rod Sharpless will have a hard time scheming to prevent that type of big play ability of Al Clark.
That was not coaching. That was somebody missing a tackle.
Extra point streak continues for Shane Graham. 5 for 5 today and 44 for 44 as a college kicker. Boy, as good as Jim Druckenmiller was, and he was great, a first-round pick of the 49ers, that's something that he just didn't have in his arsenal.
Well, Jim didn't need that in his arsenal. He had that gun for an arm. Al's got a marvelous arm, has a marvelous mind, but also can run. Plus, the most important thing is that he broke Druckenmiller's squat record.
Well, ESPN continues its college football coverage next Saturday at 12:30 when the East Carolina Pirates take on 96 Big East Rookie of the Year Amos Zeraway and the West Virginia Mountaineers. All the action brought to you by ESPN, your home for college football, and we look forward to our trip to Morgantown next week. East Carolina, a little bit like Southern Miss, has built a program in the 90s based on upsets in places like Miami. And they hope they can pull it off at West Virginia next week.
Steve Logan's done a marvelous job at East Carolina.
Jimmy Kibble has shown off one of the strongest legs in college football today. One of the few returnable kicks. Reggie Stevens brings it back about 20 as we check in with Carl Ravitch.
Hi, Dave, and things are getting interesting in Syracuse. NC State trying to tie it up. Holt is open. Barnett finds him. Syracuse has faced this team 4 times, and they have lost to him 4 times. It's tied at 17. We'll keep you posted, Dave.
Carl, based on their performance against Wisconsin in the Kickoff Classic, that's a shock. Syracuse looked as strong as just about anybody in the country. Both sides of the ball. They're going to struggle with the Wolfpack today. Here's the second half play from scrimmage for the Scarlet Knights. Catch and run by Funderburk. Jamel Smith over to make the tackle, and a marker is down. Reggie Funderburk needs 60 catches this year, and he could become the all-time leading receiver in Rutgers history.
Excellent job by Joe Diggs there. Excellent job. The fullback comes across in motion, number 33. Just continues on out, makes a key block on the quick screen. Well executed play for Funderburk with a penalty tacked on.
15 to be exact on the personal foul, which will move it all the way to the 43. Dave Ryan.
Well, guys, Charles Woolridge, defensive tackle, the senior, 6'3", 265-pounder, just taken up into the ambulance in this near end zone. The team officials tell me he's very dehydrated and needs to get some intravenous fluid before he'll be all right and ready to continue action.
Prelo on the fumble by Crooks brings it back, and another flash of lightning by the Virginia Tech defense. They've scored twice today. Jackie Crooks coughs it up on a hit by Danny Wheel, and Pearson Prelo brings it back, and it's 41-7.
What happens when you have superior team speed and athletic ability is that every mistake burns you severely. You make a mistake, put the ball on the ground, Prelo picks it up, runs for a touchdown. That is common business of the defense of Virginia Tech.
Brooks hasn't made many mistakes today. He's been the entire ground game for Rutgers. That one, though, costs them 6. Flag is down on the extra point by Graham. Prelo trying to catch his breath. That took something out of him. And the offsides on the successful PAT.
Prelo's over there explaining how he did his 360 after he picked that up. You know, he actually did a 360 pirouette before he started running.
Obviously declined, so 42-7 Virginia Tech. About a minute and a half gone in the third quarter. The Hokies and Pearson Prelo get their second defensive touchdown of the afternoon. Back in Piscataway, 42-7 Virginia Tech. And this return by Delrico Fletcher out to the 22 for the freshman from Braddock, Pennsylvania. Virginia Tech, including 2 today now, over the last 40 games has 21 touchdowns by either the defense or the special teams. And the defensive coordinator, Bud Foster, really helps out his opposite number on the offensive side, the offensive coordinator, Ricky Bussell, by providing that much in the way of scoring.
Yeah, you talk about field position, but in that end zone is the best field position.
9 on fumble recoveries, including both of them today. 6 interceptions run back. 3 block punts, 2 punt returns, 1 block field goal. So about every way you can contribute without actually owning possession, they managed to do that. Jermaine Robinson on that carry for Rutgers.
And it becomes a habit. When the defense takes the field, the thinking is not just, well, let's just play well here and make some tackles. The thinking becomes, let's score. Take the ball away. Get it in the end zone.
Akron, which scared Virginia Tech last year in the opener, lost only 21-18. Steve Tate breaking right up the middle to wrap up Jones.
All right, this is a blitz that Rutgers was unprepared to pick up. This is the kind of thing where the inside linebacker simply comes between the guard and the tackle, and either a back or a lineman, depending on the protection, did not pick him up. It appears from the fact that Robinson was taken from the game that perhaps that was his responsibility.
Brooks back in place of Robinson. On the 3rd and 19, this will be overthrown, intended for Funderburk. Out there in single coverage, Anthony Midget. Quick 3 and out, not what Rutgers needed. Now, this is by no means Mike Jones' fault. He has not had great numbers today, 9 of 21, but he's been harassed all afternoon long. But at what point, if you're Terry Shea, Do you consider a look at the freshman Mike McMahon or the junior college transfer Brendan Edmonds, or do you let Jones go just to let him know, look, I'm not blaming you for this?
Well, I think that's a really tough call. We'll watch this punt and talk about it.
Sloven booming his highest effort of the day all the way back to the 36. And Angelo Harrison greeted very rudely that time after a 51-yarder. The second game of ESPN2's college football doubleheader starts tonight. It'll be at 6 p.m. Eastern when the Golden Eagles of Southern Mississippi go to Gainesville and take on the defending national champs, the Florida Gators, all brought to you on ESPN2, your home for college football. And in the coaches ESPN poll, Florida beginning this year #1. Heck, most of the day, great field position. That's the case again here. And also most of the day, Oxendine has had way too much red surrounding wherever he wanted to go. First contact here, Aaron Brady. Last time we saw him, Bill, 150 yards against the Nebraska defense, 101 in the first half alone in the Orange Bowl.
That's heavy-duty running. That's the real thing against that Husker defense. We talked about when you substitute for a young quarterback with another young quarterback, and there, as Terry indicated in our discussions yesterday, there is no simple answer to that.
High snap. Clark hangs on. Slips it inside for Parker. Now for future defensive coordinators. Obviously, Rutgers today schemed mainly expecting Oxendine, and they've taken him out, but Parker's the guy that's killed him. What do you do if you have to play them next? Do you expect equal problems from both, or do you still concentrate on Oxendine?
Well, you have to concentrate on the Virginia Tech offense. You can't concentrate on one kind of play. So it looks like Rutgers has adjusted now to that weak side sweep with the fullback carrying the ball. That's the one that right there that they just ran that hurt them so before.
Deflected, but not intercepted. Dax Strollmeyer right in his hands, but couldn't bring it in. Chris Sabula, the man who got a hand up.
Dax would love to have another shot at that. It hit him in a bad place. He had a chance to pluck one there and get good field position for the Rutgers team.
So on comes Kibble to kick it away. Just barely manages to get it away, and Thunderbird will let this one hit. Kibble's had a real knack at either killing it when he tried to do that or getting a positive bounce. This one goes 35 yards inside the 15. To the studio, Carl Ravage.
Hi, David. A shocker in Morgantown. Marshall in West Virginia, after a roughing the kicker penalty, gave Marshall the ball back. They take advantage, and a wide open Randy Moss touchdown, and Marshall is on top by 3, 31-28.
Wow. First Division
indeed.
1A matchup for Marshall. A lot of people think Randy Moss the best player, not just best wide receiver in college football. Obviously, they've got more than just Randy Moss. Diggs and Crooks are split behind Jones. And over the middle, great catch by Powell, who got hog-collared. And now they say incomplete. Looked like he had it. Lost it on impact with the ground, and incomplete the ruling.
The official's right on the mark here, so I'm sure he saw this. The ball is, very good call. Good call by the official. Nice job by Parker to try to talk him into it, though. You pick it up and you shake it and you swear you had it.
Oh, yeah, it's back to us, and it looked like a circus catch, but it turns into the correct call, 2nd and 10. Pitch to Diggs. Gouges out maybe 4. Anthony Lambeau has been very active on the defensive line, 59 protect. Another stop against Diggs. Finally getting a chance to shine today after battling injuries most of his career. Senior out of Williamstown, New Jersey.
As little as Fauntleroy is playing, that knee still must be bothering him.
Fauntleroy, in fact, only carried it on the touchdown run. That's his only effort today. Jones Intended for Crooks, who didn't expect the pass and was covered nonetheless.
Crooks was also carrying some baggage. Chris Cyrus was hanging on him by the sleeve because Chris was supposed to cover him, and he decided the easiest way to do that was just to attach. He was a running back, coach. I just tackled him.
Another 3 and out. And another Sloven punt. John Scales waits for this one at his 40.
Good snap by McKiernan.
Good kick by Sloven. Here's Scales weaving to midfield on the return of 16 yards of a 48-yard Jarrett Sloven punt. 9:28, third quarter, all Virginia Tech here in Piscataway. Hokies from midfield. New backfield, Cullen Hawkins in front of Lamont Pegues. Just back to the eye in 1st and 10. Just under 9.5 minutes, third quarter. Pegues coming to the near side with a marker down in the Hokie backfield. Pegues all the way to the 38 on a 12-yard pickup, which is coming back on holding. Might be that Oxendine and Parker are done for the day. They have done plenty of damage, mainly Parker at this point, so Pegues and Hawkins
During the run, holding offense. 10 yards from the spot of the foul, still first down.
Well, we might be able to get that one.
So the 37 is where they'll march it back, and there is maybe, I don't know, Bill, as a tandem, the best pair of running backs in the country. Certainly they've got to be in that discussion.
They're certainly in the running. Although Oxendine hadn't had a great day today, we certainly see what Parker can do, and we already know what Ken can do.
Hawkins again back to the eye. And keeps the legs churning forward as Rutgers tries to force a fumble. All the way to the 44. Oxendine in his career has averaged 6 yards per carry. Last year 99 per game. Today they simply had 2 and 3 on him every time he carried it. 15 times 18 yards. Parker on the other hand 6 for 82 and a touchdown. Set up Oxendine's touchdown with a 48-yarder. Here's Pegues. Fastest man they've got in the backfield. Marker down again. As Pegues crosses midfield, brought down there by Brian Sheridan. Well, with some new faces, the flags are flying.
Yeah, those hands tend to get a little careless. Looks like that might have been Derek Smith, number 74.
Offense. 10 yards from spot of the foul. Second down.
The Virginia Tech staff feels like Smith's going to be a superb offensive tackle. He's pulling here. Yeah, he's got a hold of that jersey. In fact, he sort of hog collars old Brady there. Brady got up and spoke with him very kindly, patted him on the back.
A good tackle. I would have been proud of that. That great field position, not so great now. They took it at midfield. They are all the way back to the 31. Pegues for 10. Get the feeling you'll see a lot more of Lamont Pegues as this season develops. Again, as a freshman at Clemson, led them in rushing. Only the second true freshman ever to manage that at Clemson. Huge high school numbers, 6,000 yards plus. Thomasville, North Carolina product. Now a junior.
3rd and 19.
Trying to get to the 40 of Rutgers. Play fake. Clark on target to Stewie. Just about back to the original line of scrimmage before the 2 holding calls. To Carl Ravitch.
Hi, Dave. Syracuse goes to Virginia Tech September 13th. They're going to have to watch out for this guy. Quentin Spotwood opened the game with a 68-yard touchdown reception. Here he goes in reverse to go forward. Old saying, got to take one step back before you can make two forward. He goes 72 yards. They're back up by a touchdown.
Still a while to go in that one, but tough to go into the Carrier Dome and even stay as close as NC State has. Partially blocked. And down to the 34, where it is recovered by Virginia Tech. Lauren Johnson. In a long series of breaks, that may be the most amazing. Kevin Williams busting through to get the block, and Lauren Johnson recovers the blocked punt with Virginia Tech's possession continuing all the way down to the 33 of Rutgers.
Now, Gil Ross broke a cardinal rule of football. When a punt is blocked, and once it crosses the line of scrimmage, it does not matter whether it was blocked or not. That becomes a punt. When he touches it, it becomes a live ball, allowing Lauren Johnson to jump on it. Thus, it is Virginia Tech's ball, and that is a critical mistake. We stood at practice yesterday and watched Coach Beamer personally conduct a drill to remind his players of that very rule. It's one of the most often, it's one of the least understood rules among players and even some coaches. When that ball is blocked, it doesn't matter what happens. Once it crosses the line of scrimmage, it becomes a punt. You get away from it.
Kevin Williams telling him how he did it. Now, how unusual is that for a head coach to take that active role in the special teams?
Well, I think all head coaches are real active and excited about special teams, but Coach Beamer is not a happy man right now. That's the second punt he's had blocked today. He works personally with his own punt return and punt block team. But I'll promise you next week he's going to be working with the punt protection.
Well, a Major League Baseball doubleheader coming up for you on Labor Day Monday. 2 interleague matchups at 1 p.m. Eastern. The Cleveland Indians take on Pittsburgh at Three River Stadium. Then at 4, the Orioles fly south to take on the Florida Marlins. A great day. Let's play 2 on Labor Day here on ESPN. Pirates still chasing Houston in the NL Central with the lowest payroll involved. First down from the 33. Harrison in motion. Clark, play action. Turns back, fires for a wide open Angelo Harrison, and another Virginia Tech big play score.
Angelo Harrison is the receiver for Virginia Tech that's had the most outstanding training camp. Others have been nicked and injured. He's been outstanding.
Williams blocked the punt, but it 2 plays later turns into points for the Hokies.
This is the kind of day that it's been. And what this is a misdirection. The quarterback fakes the run one way, does a naked bootleg out the other way. Angelo Harrison, number 83, wide open in the end zone.
Graham with the kick. Angelo telling him how he did it. 7:07 to go in the third. Now Virginia Tech by 42 in New Jersey. Virginia Tech 49-7. Nothing can cool down the Rutgers Psyches at this point, blown down by 42 points with about half the third quarter still to go. High kick returned by Jermaine Robinson for the Scarlet Knights out to the 33-yard line. Frank Beamer off consecutive Alliance Bowl appearances. The question is, do you now reload or just rebuild?
What we'd like to do at Virginia Tech is be a program that people think of as the top program in the country year in and year out. And I think you got to do that for a number of years. We've had good success here for the last 4, but I think we can continue to go, and I think we're getting closer to being that type of program. And you got to have talent. You got to reload to be thought of in that way.
Well, based on today, that's exactly what they're doing this year. One of the best runs by Crooks all afternoon for a yard or 2. Run down by Prelo. One of the big play men for Frank Beamer today with the fumble return touchdown. Frank Beamer, Bill, not a huge name nationally, but in coaching circles and up and down the East Coast, Everybody becoming more and more aware of what he's done, and he is hot on the tail of Bill Dooley to become the all-time coaching wins leader at Virginia Tech.
Frank is highly respected in our business. Everybody knows that he's done a marvelous job as a football coach.
On the pitch, Diggs. Maybe the star of the afternoon for Rutgers to the 49. 13 yards and a first down, knocked out by Michael Hawks. Beamer has built this program by emphasizing, and this is coming back because of a marker in the backfield. Does he emphasize weightlifting more than any coach you've ever been aware of?
Yes, he does. And all good programs emphasize lifting. Nebraska was the first to get a lot of recent acclaim. In the original growth and the origins of strength building, it started at LSU in the late 50s.
Yeah, you do. There's a lot of penetration.
Illegal shift call against Rutgers. March it back to 2nd and 14. Jones with a wobbler intended for Funderburg. And it will be 3rd and call it a long 13. So everybody, obviously, this day and age is emphasizing weightlifting, but I've never read so much material that has so detailed a reading of exactly who is the best at which lifts as all the Virginia Tech.
Yeah, Alvin Roy. I got him. Alvin Roy started at LSU with Billy Cannon and Jimmy Taylor. Then Nebraska picked up on it. Now I think Virginia Tech does publicize it more than any other program.
Feel like they have their best recruiting year ever. That one off the hands of Steve Harper as we get here from Carl Ravitch.
Dave, Kim Helton had his team moving in the right direction again. They're in again, 3rd time he has reached the big house. It's 35-14. Meantime, Marshall in a battle with West Virginia. They have the ball. They're up 3 with 13 left to go in the 4th. We'll keep you posted.
When was the last time Alabama didn't have a whole slew of running backs? The embarrassment of riches. I don't know if anybody can remember that far back.
Oh, I can remember.
This Sloven punt. Returned by Scales. Still going. John Scales fights to the 34, 46-yard punt, 10-yard return. Well, that was more recent than perhaps you want to remember.
Well, in 1988, we had a bunch of injuries when we were coaching at Alabama, and we did not have a lot of backs. But you're right. There's normally a stable of backs. The first time I ever coached against Coach Bryant when I was at Georgia Tech, they had 13 guys that carried the ball in one game.
Al Clark's day is done, it would appear. And redshirt freshman quarterback Nick Sorensen from Vienna, Virginia, hands it off to Pegues, who turns it upfield and midfield. They will mark him out, though, at the 44, close to the marker, hit there by Roger Wingate. Nick Sorensen, 6'3" and 195. Also, his first collegiate appearance, so he can somewhat sympathize with what Mike Jones has gone through today. His first collegiate appearance. Clark's first start. Not the first time he's ever been in battle. Still haven't seen Jones backups, though, either McMahon or Edmonds, and they decide it is enough for the first.
One of the things that happens when a program gets to the point that it does score a lot of points is that the younger players get to see a lot of action, so that when they are forced into duty, they're ready. And this will be good for Sorensen to get a chance to get a feel for being in the game in a real situation. Calling his own audibles now.
Pegues, wow. Great reaction. Big hit for Rutgers by 38 coming in from linebacker Tyrone Pitts. Dave Ryan on the sidelines.
Well, Dave, to answer your question about the quarterback situation with the Rutgers Scarlet Knights, Mike McMahon will be coming in, the 6'3", 205 freshman from Wexford, Pennsylvania, one of the top recruits that Rutgers has ever brought in here. Told me a moment ago he's getting warmed up and ready to get back in the game.
Not a big surprise. Sorensen rolling, firing complete for Scales. Breaks one tackle ahead for a first to the 43. Bobby Oro, 4, dived at him, but Scales went past that attempt, and that's 13 yards. Jones may be helping McMahon get ready. I tell you what, there are stories already about things that he's done and his amazing physical abilities. The most impressive being what he did next door in their indoor practice facility, the Bubble. Just for funds, they set up some trash cans as Pegues carries. And McMahon, Bill, back 60 yards away from the trash cans and hit him 3 out of 5, 60 yards.
Yeah, he's got a wonderful motion with his arm. It's very easy for him. It's something that a friend of mine named Homer Smith calls a gifted arm. I watched him throw Thursday night at practice. He has just got a gun, and yet the ball he throws is not a hard ball to catch. It just goes a long way in a hurry.
He said, that no big deal. I grew up throwing the trash can. Really unimpressed by his own abilities. Hawkins. Down near the 4-minute mark. Sorensen, this might be a little bit frightening to think about for the Rutgers defense. Timed faster than Al Clark back last spring, better than 4.6 in the 40. So he has his own set of abilities.
Yeah, Coach Beamer feels like that Sorensen will pick right up when Al's finished his turn in the next couple of years. This is a freeze play designed to cause the defense to jump off sides. Sorensen actually missed the exchange and then had to pick it up on a knee. See right here, this ball's got to hit firmly in the hand. And Sorensen's like a little fella that dropped his cookie and didn't want the other kids to see it before he picked it up.
Keith Short snapped it because of the movement before the snap by Mike DeLucia, 63 for Rutgers. Caught Sorensen a bit by surprise. 1st and 10 from the 31, and Pegues wrapped up by Dax Strollmeyer.
Because of situations like that, quarterback coaches and offensive line coaches work the centers and quarterbacks at something called a silent drill, where the ball comes up when the quarterback is least expecting it. He should get that snap every single time. If it happens 800 times a year, he should not miss a one.
Another play change. He was back in the shotgun. Moves him to the eye. Option pitch, Pegues. Didn't fool Strollmeyer.
Strollmeyer made a nice play. It's called feathering. He forces the pitch and then turns and runs right down the line of scrimmage, taking an intelligent angle to force the back out of bounds. Pegues is getting a good workout. He hadn't run like this in a couple of years just because he hadn't had a chance to play.
His emergence today may indicate that Chiron Stiff, but a pretty good beginning to his career as a freshman last year, will have a redshirt season this year. 474 yards, second on the team as a freshman. A strike for Scales, who drags Oro all the way down to the 12, where it's another 1st and 10 for Virginia Tech, 18 yards. Carl Ravitch.
Hi, Dave. Couple of things to update you on. First, NC State and Syracuse, the Wolfpack banging on the door, down by a touchdown. James Barnett has a wide-open Mark Thomas. They have tied it up at 24 with about 4 to go. Meantime, Marshall in West Virginia, after a Chad Pennington interception, West Virginia gets the ball deep in Marshall territory, and they pay it off. Mark Bolger to Chad Wavell. It's 35-31.
Almost wriggling all the way to the end zone that time. Pegues lost his balance around the 5 and just couldn't quite stay up. 4-yard line, 2nd and 2. I think with every carry by Pegues, Stitt's decision looking more solid to redshirt.
Yeah, excellent block by the fullback here. Boom. Kicking him out. Pegues, had he kept his balance, could have gotten it in the end zone.
Shin Black got it with just enough of a glancing blow to prevent that. Hawkins across in motion. Pegues, left tackle. Don't think he has 1st and goal.
Now the Rutgers coaches just took their 2nd string defense out and put the front people back in from the first unit. They would like to keep Virginia Tech out of the end zone. They're trying to make a point with their team. Sabula, Yeager, Woolridge, and Wayne Hampton back in the game.
Rutgers kept it reasonably close until too many Virginia Tech big plays, especially here in the third quarter, blew it wide open. Hokies again trying left side, and a quick reacting Norris Crawford drops him for a loss back at the 7-yard line.
So the reason Norris Crawford did such a good job is because he had his shoulder pads under the blocker. He stood him up, bounced off, extended the play, stretched it out. The Rutgers coaches were successful in the point they were trying to make. When we put our first unit in and play hard, we can keep these guys out of the end zone.
So on a 4th and 4, on comes Shane Graham. Last year 10 of 16, including 3 in the second half of the Rutgers game. And this one is good. Had to call on him to break what was a 14-14 third quarter tie last year in Blacksburg. And helped the Hokies to a 30-14 victory. Not nearly that dangerous so far this afternoon, and Shane Graham has not missed a kick.
Good job of snapping by Cliff Anders. Cliff's a guy that Coach Beamer wasn't even going to allow to come back out, Dave, if you'll recall in our meeting last night.
Yep.
But he made the point that he was going to be ready, and if a spot came available, I'd sure like to come back out there. And 68 Anders has done a good job of short snapping for the PATs and field goals. And that means there's a spot for people who really want to make it in college football.
24-yarder by Graham to make it 52-7. The way it got here, just a series of strikes by the Hokies. This was one that really had to hurt the most because Gildersleeve's right knee hit at the 23. By the end of it, he was off for an 80-yarder. Clark keeping. That one went all the way. Then this fumble picked up by Pearson Prelo, and that one came back all the way. So the defense contributing 12 of those 52 points as the kick goes out of bounds at the 6.
Very wise decision by number 20, Delrico Fletcher, there to let that ball hit and go out. Very often you'll see a return man catch that ball and step out of bounds at the 6-yard line, which is a dumb thing to do. Delrico was ready and made the right decision. Thus they get the ball at the 35-yard line.
Not the only mistake Jimmy Kibble's made today.
Yeah, he's had a big day kicking the ball. He just shanked that one.
Well, there is a new quarterback for Rutgers, but it's not McMahon, who is the guy we saw warming up. 16, Brendan Edmonds, a junior college transfer out of Davis, California, by way of Sacramento City College. Pitches to Crooks. Well, a lot of second effort all afternoon by Jackie Crooks.
Yeah, I really like Crooks. He was met head on right there, and we've seen him 2 or 3 times a day. He keeps his balance well. He might get bounced back just a little bit, but then he comes right back at you to make yards.
Coming out at the moment. So Edmonds is the man who replaces Jones here late in the third. They're not real flashy, but very accurate. 67% last year, in fact, in Sacramento. For the number 3 junior college team in the nation. That's the end of the third quarter. Virginia Tech 52, Rutgers 7 in the Big East opener for 97. Fourth quarter, Piscataway, New Jersey, Virginia Tech 52-7. Dave Barnett, Bill Curry, and Bill Ryan from Rutgers Stadium, where Brendan Edmonds hands it right up the middle for Jermaine Robinson. Rutgers inside the 20 to begin the fourth quarter. 45 yards for Jermaine Robinson out of Cabrillo Junior College in Santa Cruz, California.
This is extremely well blocked up front, allowing Jermaine to hit this thing full bore, which is exactly what you want your back to be able to do. Looks like he might go the distance, but Ike Charlton runs him down before he can get there.
Last year,
Lorenzo Ferguson, the free safety, got there, but Charlton was going to catch him as well.
8 games, he gained 1,100 yards at Cabrillo JC, and has Edmonds and the Knights all set up to cash in from the 15. Nice stretching grab, and there's Billy Woodard that they just rave about. 6'7" and 250, with maybe the best hands on the team in displayed right here.
He is a big, fine athlete. He looks excellent getting off the bus, but he's also a football player. He's one of those guys you want him to see his suit when he walks through the lobby. He is a great-looking player, but the good news is he can also play football. Right now, he's about 80%.
Second down and 3. Robinson stretching to the 3. It'll be first and goal, Scarlet Knights. So this coming against the second teamers for Virginia Tech. They don't care though. Rutgers just wants some points and they want some success against anybody.
Yeah, and Billy Woodard did a nice job blocking. We saw him make a big-time catch, which a tight end must be able to do. But he also has to be able to block like an offensive tackle. And on that last play, he was at the point of attack, did an excellent job, gave Jermaine a chance to make those yards. First down.
And for Shea, it's back up at the skill spots, but it's still front liners along that offensive front. Brooks in motion with the pitch, with room. If he can turn the corner, can't do it. He got undercut at the 3 by Lorenzo Ferguson to back up to Carpenter, free safety.
Lorenzo Ferguson, number 6, is a redshirt freshman free safety, and he is proving his mettle out here today as the clock winds down. He's made 2 big plays to save touchdowns, both of which appeared to be scores. Free safeties are supposed to do that.
Lorenzo holds that one to no gain. Second and goal. Woods is the fullback. Robinson, the tailback, takes the pitch fake, and the touchdown catch by Woodard. They can finally fire the cannon.
Well, Billy Woodard had a hand in 3 big plays there to set up that score and then to score it. He made a big league twisting catch. He had a nice block at the point of attack on a toss sweep. And now we see him hesitate, come off the ball. Edmonds under pressure here, not very well protected, but a good throw and a sure catch by Woodard. He's got those soft hands.
Corey Moore, the man putting the pressure on. This kick is no good. It is wide right by Lee McDonald. But the JC connection out of California, Edmonds to Woodard for the score for the Knights. Erected in 1880, College Hall, now the home for the dean's offices here at Rutgers University.
We're going to be all right, baby.
52-13.
Wilson saying, how you doing, baby? Rutgers, we're going to be all right. We're going to be all right.
Optimistic words from Billy Woodard after the touchdown catch.
Yeah, I love those words when the guy backs it up with performance like Billy does.
McDonald hangs this one up to the 11-yard line where Bobby for Andre Kendrick to bring it back. And markers down, a couple of different markers after an 11-yard return by Andre Kendrick.
Now, Andre's a redshirt freshman, so that's a freshman mistake. He should not back up and catch that ball. He should have allowed the deep man to come up and catch that thing on the move.
And you saw the holding indication. Terry Shea says that one way he wants to get the rebuilding in motion here at Rutgers is he doesn't treat them like a team that was 2-9 last year.
You certainly have to build the self-esteem of your players. And more so than maybe my emotional, enthusiastic approach is the fact that, you know, I've really tried to allow their self-esteem to grow so that they feel like they can go out there on any given game and play up to their potential. And if we can do that, that's all I can ask of them.
Pegues on the carry, and apparently that attitude has been infectious because Woodard is sure carrying it out. You heard him.
He did
yelling,
not come over.
Okay.
He didn't come over and hang his head on the bench. Oh, woe is me. The score is big. He said we're going to be all right, and he went out and did something about it on a bad ankle. I like that. Every coach likes that.
Sorensen's pitch nailed for a loss. Pegues back at the 6-yard line, hit there by Terrell Freeney, a true freshman who coming into today had beaten out Gil Ross at what they call their rook position, outside backer. Spends a lot of time up on the line. They think he has great potential. Former Connecticut High School Player of the Year.
These Scarlet Knights are continuing to fight, and that's the important thing in a situation like this. Get this ball back and see if you can score again.
Both Shea and Beamer say we had our best recruiting classes ever last year. The sack back at the 4 by Charles Woolridge. Former tight end.
Yep.
Bothered by a groin in preseason, have lost a whole lot of quickness, it looks like.
Yeah, offensive linemen are supposed to hold their people out. Just stay in the middle of your guy on a draw play. When you lose him, then you have no play. Woolridge is actually double teamed here, but there was a busted assignment. And Charles very alertly came off and made a big play for his team. It's great to see that the Rutgers team is not packing it in.
Flags before Kibble can get the snap. And this is not going to be a delay penalty. They had 6 seconds. Might have had one man too many on the field.
Dead ball, illegal substitution, defense. 5-yard penalty, still remains 4th down.
It's only 5 yards.
Even with the mark off, they're inside the 10, but it will get Kibble away from that end line. He had his heels right up against it.
Yeah, I just thank goodness it wasn't 4th and 4 with a mistake like that. 12 men on the field.
Coming hard, almost got the block. Funderburk deals the hop at 38. And he got hog collared. Caught from behind by Anthony Midget. A 53-yarder and a 10-yard return. 52-13, Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech has the last couple of years surpassed Virginia as the dominant team in that state, picking up right where they left off apparently after consecutive 10-win seasons, trips to the Sugar and Orange Bowl. Edmonds still the quarterback and throws a strike for Chris Hutton, the tight end, who's near a first down. There are 2 markers down as we hear from Carl Ravage.
Big developments in the Carrier Dome. NC State and Syracuse. Syracuse with the ball, 3rd down and goal. They attempt to break it in. They can't. Fumble by D. Brown. Taken away by Tony Scott. Recovered by Bobby Cotton. They are now getting set for overtime. It's 24-all.
Bill, how big that could be for Mike O'Kane, who's been under some fire at NC State.
Well, it sure would be a good way to start. It's a tough place to win up there at Syracuse if you don't have an orange hat on.
This mark off against Rutgers. An eligible receiver downfield, so from the 43, they have 1st and 15.
Or you could just knock them out of land.
Edmonds has been as advertised, very accurate. This catch by Delrico Fletcher. He didn't play a whole lot of football growing up in Davis, California. Baseball man who could only manage football when it rained in the winter, and there was a ravine near his house that would get real muddy. When that filled up, they'd go out there and play, and that's all his mother allowed because that was a soft landing area until he finally convinced her, let me just see how it goes on the football field for real. So as a junior in high school, it's the first time he ever played the organized football. Almost didn't get a scholarship this year. Defender hanging on him, Danny Wheel, as he got rid of that one just in time. He only got a scholarship, in fact, because 3 of the previously signed Rutgers recruits didn't qualify academically. And he says the clock is ticking on me. I'm a junior. I know there are freshmen in front of me, and there's a sense of urgency.
Well, he's playing with a sense of urgency. And it's unfortunate the earlier completion to Hutton was negated by a lineman being downfield. That's a play that most people don't understand, but the offensive linemen are required to stay within a body or a step of the line of scrimmage. Otherwise, that hand on top of the head signal indicates, used to be loss of down. Now it's just a 5-yard penalty.
Hit as he delivers and incomplete. Coming from the corner that time was Ike Charlton.
Yeah, Ike Charlton, a very fine athlete. This is an all-out blitz, safety blitz coming this time.
They changed their mind, and let's see if this is picked off. They first said incomplete, and now they've reversed, and they say Virginia Tech ball. Let's see, John Engelberger is credited with the takeaway for Virginia Tech, all caused by that blitz by Charlton.
Yeah, they brought everybody but the kitchen sink that time, and I'm not surprised that Engelberger was around the ball. He's done everything else today.
So the officials reverse field on that with the 5th Rutgers turnover. And look out, another foot race. Caught from behind at the 12 is Shea Ellison. On his first carry of the day, sophomore from Hampton, Virginia, 41 yards.
Let's take a look here. Ball pops up in the air, and that is an interception. Engelberger always seems to be in the right place at the right time. It's amazing how lucky you get if you work hard.
First official must have been screened off, the one that said incomplete. But to their credit, they got it right. This carry by Andre Kendrick reaches the 10. Boy, John Engelberger has just been absolutely superb, switching over to the Cornell Brown spot, where Brown was a 2-time All-America.
Right. Obviously, that replay was 2 plays previous. Might have caught some of our viewers off guard.
Ellison at the 7th. So we've seen Oxendine and Parker, Pegues and Hawkins, and now Ellison getting the shot at fullback. Actually had been listed ahead of Hawkins and just behind Marcus Parker as the number 2 fullback. Nick Sorensen's second series is Virginia Tech quarterback. Al Clark, a big day throwing and running for the Hokies. Sorensen throwing on the run and incomplete, and a marker will accompany this incompletion. They're going to get Bobby Oro for the contact against Ken Handy.
What we'll see here is that Oro breaks on the ball nicely. He's a little early in contacting with the body. This is a fine call by the official. You've got to arrive simultaneous with the football or get a piece of the ball at the same time that you hit the receiver.
Pass interference, defense. The penalty took place in end zone. By rule, the ball will be placed on the 2-yard line, 1st and goal.
Bobby Oro, their fastest player, 2-time All-Big East sprinter, clocked at 4.3 in the 40, and played a whole lot of football. Getting the shot here in the second half with now under 8 minutes to go. 1st and goal from the 2 for the Hokies. Kendrick, the tailback. Motion from Hawkins. Give to Andre Kendrick. Legs turn. Can't get past the 2, though. Brian Sheridan is ignoring the scoreboard. That's what they're looking for.
Brian Sheridan plays at 1 speed. He's a full-speed football player, and that's exactly how the game ought to be played. We'll see Brian coming from his middle linebacker position once again. The reason you see him so clean there is that the defense is designed to keep the blockers off him. So with the stunts of the defensive lineman in or out, Brian's clean, and if he does his job, then that's the result. No gain.
Before the shoulder injuries of last year, he was their tackling leader. Might do it again this year. Kendrick heading toward the far corner, and easily into the end zone goes Andre Kendrick. Clearing block by Cullen Hawkins that made it possible. for the redshirt freshman to get his first collegiate touchdown.
Cullen Hawkins has been impressive. He had the long run to get him down in scoring position. Then he made the key block in that toss sweep situation.
Andre from Lynchburg, Virginia, 58-13. And the extra point by Graham. 7:06 to go in Piscataway, New Jersey, where Virginia Tech has gone deep into the roster, and the result remains the same. Well, it is really celebration time when not only are you out, but you've even got your shoulder pads on. That's the ultimate side of victory. And Oxendine over there. 59-13, a return by Delrico Fletcher. Let's check in again with Dave Ryan.
Dave, welcome to the official Hokie War headquarters. This is a tent on the Rutgers practice field right next to the stadium here in Piscataway, where assistant coach Dave Steckel slept every night. In fact, for 3 weeks of training camp, the former Marine stayed here. Dave Steckel didn't mind it so much. When asked what it felt like to sleep in this tent for 3 straight weeks during training camp, Dave Steckel said, like a blade of grass. Dave, back to you.
And I'm not sure what that means. I'm not sure how a blade of, I guess like a log.
Yeah, I'm not sure what that means either, but for a former Marine, those are pretty luxurious surroundings. If Dave was trying to be Spartan, he might have left off those blankets and such.
Well, everybody got a kick out of it and just attempt at creating a little team unity at Rutgers. The penalty on the kick was for a face mask, a 5-yard mark off, and a catch by Reggie Funderburk. Had a couple of productive years before his knee injury. 109 catches over the 94-95 seasons. Edmonds remains the quarterback as we get under 7 minutes to go.
Funderburk is a marvelous leader. He only needs 60 catches to become the all-time leader in catches for Rutgers University.
Don't forget, coming up later, we will select the Kelly Springfield players of the game. Jermaine Robinson.
I'm impressed with Robinson. He didn't have much to work with there, but he hits things full bore. He's out there playing hard. He wants to do well. You can see him slap his hands. He wants to do well for his team every single snap. If anything good comes out of these kinds of situations, you find out what your various team members are made of.
Well, they've invested a lot over the offseason. 55 of their players stayed here on campus to continue the work that began literally the moment they arrived back from their last game of last year. Robinson close enough, maybe for a measurement.
Another big hit by Lorenzo Ferguson, who's a very impressive young free safety. There's still the temptation of the play action with that free safety up there forcing the run with such frequency.
No measurement needed, first down. Rutgers got off the bus after their last game against Pitt last year, came straight to the weight room, and they decided they were going to be the first team in the country to get ready for the 97 season. Fletcher for another first down pickup at the 47. So they at least have turned the tide mentally. We've still seen signs of optimism on that bench, and the attitude, this is just one really bad game, but this will not set the tone for our season.
Well, what Coach Shea wants to teach his team is regardless of the result, you keep hammering away. If you have to get off the bus 4 years in a row and pump iron, that's what you do until you get the program where you want it.
Off the play fake, deep to a wide open Walter King and a Rutgers touchdown.
This is a complete football play. Edmonds has perfect protection. The route is well run. Little play action. The free safety steps up, and the young corner, Ike Charlton, number 3, who is a redshirt freshman, should not be looking in the backfield. That's what his coaches will teach him from that situation. But Edmonds proves that he can take advantage of a good situation, a wide open receiver, hit him for the touchdown.
53 yards. Edmonds to Walter King out of Hackensack, New Jersey, a sophomore. Jones back in to hold for Lee McDonald, who again is wide. 2 in a row. He's pushed wide right. 5:22 to go. 59-19 Virginia Tech. (59-19) as the 53-yard strike to Walter King from Brendan Edmonds. As Rutgers back on the board with 5 minutes and 22 seconds to go. Frank Beamer will take his 5th consecutive victory in this series, which is only 4-3 for the Hokies coming in. And will win his 62nd game at Virginia Tech, kicking off his 11th year as the head coach. Well, McDonald's kicks all going wide right. On the return, it's Kendrick out to the 28-yard line. Down to Dave Ryan.
Well, guys, head coach Frank Beamer of Virginia Tech says no one emphasizes it more. That's weight training. Strength coach Mike Gentry is also named the assistant athletic director for athletic performance. They have a 5-step program at Tech. Each position goes from maroon, orange, Hokie, iron Hokie, and super iron Hokie status. Al Clark, guys, you mentioned earlier, is on the Wall of Fame with his picture thanks to the super iron Hokie squat of 510 pounds. Not bad. Guys, back to you.
Well, we talked about it in the first half. We have never seen the volume of information about all the various lifts and who's the strongest in which one than what Virginia Tech puts out.
Well, there's an old coaching adage, you get what you emphasize. And if you emphasize strength at all costs in the time that the players have allotted to do it, then that's what you get. And it's obvious that this is a very strong physical football team.
Kendrick had that carry as Beamer is using his 3rd quarterback of the afternoon now, Dave Meyer. He gets to play in his home state, redshirt freshman from Ramsey, New Jersey. Kendrick straight ahead, should have the first down. You can see the result, but it hasn't always been that Virginia Tech had this talent level. And there's Meyer getting his first collegiate action. But when Beamer was building this program and going through some of the rough years of late 80s, early 90s, that made a whole lot of sense because he wasn't recruiting at the pace that he is now, and the thinking had to be, well, we'll get guys and then build them to get as big as the West Virginias and the Miami.
Well, that's exactly right, and they've had a pretty steady stream into the NFL of guys that were not highly recruited. We already talked about the fact that 3 of their 4 defensive linemen starting today came as walk-ons. That's nothing but hard work, strength, conditioning, and speed work.
But that is changing. His best recruiting year this year, he will play, he feels, the fewest freshmen that he's ever played. 2-time defending Big East champs. 2-time Big East Coach of the Year. Meyer with a lot of time delivers low and incomplete, intended for Brian Remley. Most people figure in the Big East this year, Syracuse right there with Miami. Then Virginia Tech. And in most of the preseason polls, then West Virginia. You really have a division, though, between those 4 best Big East teams and then those that are trying to catch them.
Yeah, it's tough to come from have not to have. It is doable, but it is certainly difficult.
Third down. Long 8 needed. And a very short gain by Shelley Ellison with 3.5 minutes to go. Well, Virginia Tech has shaken the problems that plagued them in their 2 previous openers. 2 years ago when they were defeated by Boston College 20-14. That season turned into a Sugar Bowl victory over Texas. And then last year when they barely survived the Akron Zips by 3, 21-18. This one has really never been in doubt, although Rutgers had some chances in the first half to make it closer than it was, 28-7 at the half. Burned by big play after big play throughout the second half.
When you miss those opportunities early, a good team will make you pay for them.
Down at the 12, a 43-yarder with 2:52 to go at Rutgers Stadium.
Points. Back with much more throughout the day here. For Kirk and Lee, I'm Carl. Let's go back to Virginia Tech and Rutgers.
And Virginia Tech has their 6th takeaway, an interception by Art Charlton on the first play by Rutgers. Edmonds threw it away. Meyer remains the quarterback, and that's why the Hokies still have it. They actually only lost it for that one play. They have it at the 22 as we're under 2 minutes to go.
Meyer and Keith Short are having a very difficult time with the center quarterback exchange, and this is an important time for Meyer to be in the game because they may need those two in there at a crucial point later in the year, and they will have gotten through these hard times.
Chris Steadley now in at fullback. 4th fullback that the Hokies have had the luxury of seeing today, that Andre Kendrick carry down to the 19, and that will be short by a yard. Coming up as soon as we complete this one, the Golden 4 track and field. Long day for Sharpless, big day for Clark. As Dave Meyer will come up on a 4th and 1. Whole idea was draw him off sides. He apparently does so, or so he thought.
Yeah, he's helping the official. Meyer's helping the official. He's pointing out the offender. The official did not appreciate it.
Nope. A little bit premature. So he takes the loss and turns it over. Our Kelly Springfield players of the game from Rutgers, Jackie Crooks, 19 for 109, including a 48-yarder. Al Clark, big through the air, 7 of 10 for 147 and 2 scores. And on the ground, 7 carries, including a touchdown. So Al Clark in his first start, replacing Jim Druckenmiller. What they hope to see through the air, what they knew they would see eventually on the ground. They don't have any worries at all about how Druckenmiller has left the quarterback spot. Hawkins on the carry. We're inside a minute.
We should mention, we talked about Shane Beamer being on the Virginia Tech team. Garrett Shea, the son of Coach Terry and Mrs. Susan Shea, is also a member of the Rutgers team. Ineligible this year because he's transferred in from Ohio State, but he'll be a defensive back next year.
3 yards on the Jermaine Robinson carry up inside 30 seconds. Edmonds on an inside connection to Bill Powell.
Nice throw and catch. That's not an easy play. We saw it earlier when it was not executed well. This time it was, although it was not particularly well blocked.
Well, Virginia Tech taking a 40-point opening day win, and they send a signal through the rest of the Big East that, yeah, a lot of big-name talent has departed, but there's a lot already in place and a huge opening day 40-point win. Don't forget, later today, Texas Tech visits Tennessee. Peyton Manning beginning his final season at quarterback for the Volunteers against the Red Raiders. For Bill Curry and Dave Ryan, I'm Dave Barnett. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. Coming up, Golden 4 track and field.